Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto is the Jinchuuriki of the 12-winged dragon part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. A 5-year-old Naruto was running around the village trying to get away from the angry mob that was giving him chase. Sadly, this was a common occurrence in his life, especially on the anniversary of the defeat of the 12-winged dragon by the hand of the 4th Hokage, Minato Namikaze, his hero, his inspiration and above all, his father. Yes, he was very aware that the 4th was his father. Many people believe that Naruto has a hard skull, even if they knew that the reason for that would be because nobody in the village would teach him how to read or do math. Not even in the orphanage that was supposed to take care of him. That and the fact that he goes running around the village painting shit with his paint bombs, pranking and screaming about being Hokage one day. But the truth is that he is quite the genius. All it took was one comment about him being a mini version of the 4th, a thorough search on people in the village with blonde hair and blue eyes, a nervous-looking 3rd Hokage when being questioned about it, a good look at the face in the monument, and then at the mirror, and there you go, the clear answer of who his father was. After finding the truth, he didn't know how to feel about him anymore. He respected him as a Hokage. There was no doubt in him that he was the absolute pinnacle of the word Kage. But as his father, he felt conflicted, because even if he gave his life to protect the village from the wrath of the 12 wings alongside a woman named Kushina Uzumaki, who he also had a theory about his relation with her, he or they ultimately gave him the fate of being the pariah and the focus of aggression for the whole village. He knew what he carries inside of him as well. Again, all it took to learn the truth was listening to the names the villagers used to call him, Demon Brat, Dragon Brat and such, the latter being a good giveaway. But it clicked when somebody used the word Jinchuuriki. Not knowing what it meant, he snuck into the library and began searching for the term, and after finding that it was used to refer to the containers of the tailed beasts, he just put 2 and 2 together, and it all made sense. The names, the glares, the insults, the hate. Maybe his father and probable mother thought that the village would love him and see him as a hero, thinking that the previous Jinchuuriki of the village, Kushina, the carrier of the 9-tailed fox, who was already a respected kunoichi known throughout the lands as the red-hot habanero before it became public knowledge that she carried the 9 tails, became a hero after working together with the fox and the 4th to protect the village from the dragon. They might have believed that the reputation would be carried onto the newborn, but he still thought that they should have known that the people would hate the demon that brought them close to annihilation and that killed so many loved ones of the survivors of the attack, along with the fact that for some reason the knowledge of his heritage was to be kept hidden from the village. Instead of hopes for a bright future for their son, they should have known that it wasn't going to be that way, coupled with the fact that the 9 tails mysteriously disappeared from the world after the battle, adding the unwarranted hate brought by losing their biggest weapon to the dragon. They ultimately left him to pay for their decision. Noble as it might have been, it still doomed him to be a 5-year-old with over a dozen assassination attempts on his head. In the off chance that he was wrong and they weren't his parents, that just made them even worse persons in his eyes by sacrificing an abandoned newborn. So that left him with an incredible bitter savor about his father. While it might have been the most difficult thing in the world to sacrifice your and your children's life to fulfill your duty to the village, he or her were not the ones trying to get away from the very ones that they protected. "Stop running, you damn demon!" An angry male villager screamed. "Kill the dragon, kill him!" A female villager exclaimed while throwing rocks at the little blonde. "You won't escape the legacy of the 4th. We will honor his sacrifice by finishing what he and Lady Kushina started." Another said proudly, as if he was not trying to kill a 5-year-old. "Oh, the fucking irony. There's just no point anymore," Naruto thought tiredly while making it look like he had tripped over some rocks. He then closed his eyes and just waited for his death. He didn't have to wait long, as the villagers quickly surrounded him and started beating and spitting him all over the place. But not having enough, some of the villagers who were already wasted grabbed some kunai and began to stab him to finish him off once and for all. Trying to ignore the pain and mentally cursing his parents and the village, he kept his mouth and eyes shut tight until eventually, he felt a huge pain in his heart, and immediately all went dark. Soon after, the villagers were starting to cheer and congratulate each other for a job well done, shouting the name of the 4th to celebrate. It didn't last though, as they were quickly detained by mud. The villagers looked around for the caster of the jutsu, and they saw an ANBU with white hair and a dog mask with his hands on the ground. Soon after, a female ANBU with a cat mask and purple hair began to cuff them and knock them harshly, mentally cursing each and every one of them and herself for falling on the diversion the villagers used to throw them off the chase. A 3rd ANBU with black hair and a weasel mask then appeared and quickly made his way towards the limp child. "God, what the fuck did you people just do?" He shouted angrily towards the drunken shinobi among the villagers, the ones responsible for stabbing the boy. "We saved the village, that's what we fucking did. Having that damn demon among us was an insult to us and the memory of the 4th. An angry drunken kunoichi answered back. "He's just a child, you fucking bitch," the female ANBU said from behind her before knocking her out cold. "Cat, weasel! Keep your emotions for when you're alone," the white-haired ANBU reprimanded them before turning towards the other male ANBU to say, "Weasel, how is Naruto?" The dog-masked ANBU asked with a hint of dread and sorrow in his voice. "He's gone," Weasel responded dryly, his voice seemingly devoid of emotion. I failed you again, sensei, the white-haired ANBU thought with great sorrow. Take his body to a safe place and stay with him while we carry these scum to the Hokage. He ordered while making his way to transport the arrested villagers to the Hokage tower. He turned around and saw the female ANBU looking transfixed at the body of the boy. He brought her attention back when he shouted, "Cat, get a move on." "Right, Captain." The distracted ANBU answered and began to help her ANBU captain with taking the unconscious people to the Hokage tower. Weasel finished cleaning the body as best as he could from all the blood and then he began to carry him towards the boy's house. He casted his gaze down on him and soon, a lone tear fell from his chin towards the body of the boy while saying, "Naruto, I'm so sorry." Naruto's eyes slowly opened from their slumber. He felt confused when after looking around a little, he found himself laying on the ground on a weird-looking hall. Getting on his feet, he realized that he was in some sort of sewer. Ha ha ha, this is just fucking great. Either heaven is too overrated or hell is more comfortable than my own apartment, Naruto said sarcastically. He then heard a grumble that sounded like something about stupid loud brats followed by a low roar that seemed to call on his name. Naruto began to walk around, trying to follow the sound of the low roars until he arrived to a large room lit by two big candles with what seemed to be black fire. On the other end of the room, instead of being another wall, there were large metal bars with a seal on the middle. Behind the bars all Naruto could see was nothing but darkness. Until a bit further from the bars, one giant neon green eye with an equal neon red pupil with a golden slit in the middle shot open. Quickly the other eye shot open as well, and the creature which those frightening eyes belonged to made its way slowly towards the bars of its cage, revealing a terrifying yet beautiful and magnificent red dragon with some black markings around its body and on the membrane of its giant 12 wings, each one being smaller than the one on top. The mighty dragon then lowered its head to see eye to eye with the boy and let out a small breath that carried enough force to make Naruto stumble back a little. Straightening himself up, he locked eyes with the dragon and began walking a little closer to it. Seemingly unafraid, the two let some seconds pass with their eyes locked at each other before the silence was finally broken by the Uzumaki. "So you're the 12 wings, huh? The 12-winged dragon that attacked the leaf and lost to the 4th and the Jinchuuriki of the 9 tails?" Naruto said calmly. "Grr, you insolent brat. If it weren't for these damn bars I would eat you just to shit you later. But I got to give it to you, boy, you really aren't as dumb as people give you the credit for. Here I thought you would be crying and shitting yourself for being in my presence, even knowing that you already knew I was sealed inside you. You're indeed as interesting as I thought." The being spoke with a low and divine sound to its voice. "Well, what? How do you know that I knew?" Naruto replied with great surprise. Letting a deep sigh, the dragon responded, "But maybe you're not that smart either." The dragon mocked just loud enough for Naruto to hear it. "Our minds are connected, you fool. I can hear all of your thoughts. I know that you found out about me being sealed inside you and that your father was that blasted man that you call the 4th. And also that the woman with him was probably your mother." He added with annoyance. "Right, then why can't I hear yours? Is it a one-way connection?" The blonde asked while tilting his head to the side as a clear sign of confusion. "No, you were just too weak to be able to communicate with me. Your death forced me to do all I could to keep your soul here, along with keeping your body from decomposing." The mighty beast replied dryly, showing a little bit of intrigue while waiting for the boy's reaction. "So I'm in some sort of limbo then?" Uzumaki replied nonchalantly, appearing to be at peace with his own death. Slightly lifting the scales above its right eye, making it look like as if it was arching an eyebrow, the dragon replied, "You're taking this much lighter than I would have thought. But to answer your question, no, you died. I just brought you back." "Why?" the 5-year-old asked sternly. "Sigh, 2 reasons. First, if you die while I'm here inside you, I die with you. Considering that I'm supposed to be immortal, well, that would be just a bad look on my resume." The dragon then rested its giant head on its 2 front legs before continuing. "And second, in truth, to give you somewhat of an apology, the fools in your village don't have the brains to differentiate between a 5-year-old boy and an 100 meters tall red dragon, and because of that stupidity your people have poured all their fear and hatred for me into you." That much was true. The dragon did felt a tiny bit of guilt for the boy's mistreatment from his own village. "I might be the being on which your kin base the one you call Satan off, but I am not someone that destroys shit just for laughs. My job is to oversee darkness and death in life, nothing more, nothing less." The red dragon finished, giving a small apologetic voice. "I see," Naruto said while nodding slightly. He then looked at the dragon again and added, "Well, thank you, but I honestly don't think you're the one that should be apologizing though." Why now, there is a tiny list of things that had shocked the mighty dragon, and hearing the boy that has it sealed inside of him, and that due to that has been treated even worse than shit, to say that you shouldn't apologize for the treatment that should be directed to you, has been definitely added to that list. "Why would you say that?" it said, genuinely curious. Seating on the flooded floor, Naruto realized that the water that surrounded him seemed to phase through him instead of soaking him. He looked up to the ceiling and elaborated, "Well, while you are indeed a frightening being to see the way you talk, act and look lets me see that you are as much a prisoner to me as I am to you. Plus, seeing you now directly, the bloodthirsty beast that cares for nothing but death and destruction, does seems too far beneath the being I'm seeing right now." He finished with utmost conviction in his own deduction. "Yeah, I'm always right with my picks," the dragon thought smugly. "Again, you impressed me with your insight, boy. Even with all your knowledge, I thought you would lash out at me and blame me for everything," it said while adding mentally, Father knows you have the right. The small boy shook his head to the sides while saying, Nope, I would have if you were the creature the world seems to think you are. But seeing you eye to eye and the fact that I don't even know your story, it would make me just as foolish as the villagers. That's why I only have one question for you regarding everything though. He then locked his two blue eyes to the dragon's glowing eyes and asked calmly, Why, elaborate brat? The dragon replied dryly, Not being the mindless creature that people say you are, why did you attack the village? It does seem a small thing for you to do. Naruto explained. Sighing, the dragon rested its head above its massive claws and closed its eyes, letting some time pass to recollect its thoughts. It opened them again after some moments and answered, Yes, you are correct. I didn't attack the village for fun. I don't even care about the human world at all. But you see, before the attack on your village, I had a fight with my brother Arkham. You could say that he is my counterpart in life. The fight was large and in the end I left victorious. But not unscathed, with me leaving weak and distracted. I failed to realize that there was somebody lurking in the shadows, waiting for an opportunity at whoever left with the win. When I realized his presence, it was already too late, and with his damned eyes managed to influence me enough to attack your village. I could feel that he tried to control me, but he was a mere mortal and did not have the power to control a being like me. But it was enough to suggest me to do it. Looking at his reflection on the water below, Naruto let the information sink in to recollect his thoughts, and to find what he wanted to ask next. Looking up at the dragon again, he said, I see. But if what you say about that mortals do not have the power to control you is true, then why are you imprisoned here in me? I don't doubt that the fourth was strong, but as far as I know, he was human as well, so what makes me any different than them, as apparently I'm able to keep you locked here? I mean, if we cannot control you, then I guess much less imprison you inside one of us. Suddenly Naruto's eyes grew wide as a 9 months pregnant woman's belly when he realized why that might be. He then quickly directed his gaze at the dragon's eyes as if searching for confirmation of his theory. The dragon just looked at the boy and let a small proud smirk for its container's deduction skills. Naruto then answered himself later, You are here because you want to, adding to the already mixed feelings about both his father and the dragon. Naruto felt even more confused at the implication that sealing the dragon wasn't a matter of a last effort to protect the village, but a decision that was part of a larger plan for who knows what. With a small spike of anger and confusion, he then asked, Why? Why would you want to be sealed here? Why me? Answering your thoughts, your father had nothing to do with this. He, like most of humanity, believes that I am a tailed beast as you call them, so he thought that I could be sealed inside you. He was able to do that with the help of the fox and the death god, who hates my guts if I may add. They were able to do it because, as I said earlier, I was in a weakened state, but he did not know that I could have easily break free once I recovered my strength, which would have taken me a couple of weeks at most. The dragon replied simply, almost bored, But then why not break free once you could? What is the purpose of you being here? Naruto replied heatedly, still feeling really angry for apparently being used in a scheme he has no idea about. The reason for why I didn't break free was because I felt something in you, call it a hunch if you want, but it is something I've been looking for some time now. And the purpose of me being here is to prepare you for your future. The 12 Wings explained. Why? What's in it that you want to prepare me? And what do you mean by prepare? The blonde continued his interrogation. With an annoyed tone in its voice and having its eyes closed as if bored, the dragon answered, What's in store for you is something that I will not reveal until I deem you ready, and that is not debatable. And by prepare, I meant that I will train you. As a full-fledged warrior, you will learn how to fight as a true dragon would. Already forgetting almost everything after hearing the words I will train you, the blonde stood up excitedly, and with stars in his eyes he said, Whoosh shit, really? That's awesome. But wait, how do dragons fight though? I don't get that since, well, you know I'm not one. So you think, the dragon thought before replying, we dragons are the top of the chain on almost everything, especially pride and power, hence our fights always change landscapes. We prove to everybody that when it comes to fighting and power, there's no other kind like ours. So when I say that you'll learn how to fight like us, I mean that you'll fight with your fists, heart, flashy shit, and untamable guts. The dragon then flashed the boy a fierce smirk to make him more excited, which definitely did. Whoa, I'ma be a badass then. Naruto claimed excitedly while punching the air as if kicking someone's sorry ass. Sigh, yes, you very well might be. But if you show me that you also possess the intelligence and calculation of a leader, I might even let you lead my kin. That's why I also want you to get someone to teach you in the shinobi arts, since you will have to grow not just in power and mind, but in your position in the world as well, the beast said while narrowing its giant eyes, trying to give more seriousness to its words. Well now, that's going to be a little difficult since you know, everyone hates my guts. The old man and the 3 ANBU that have been taking care of me in the past year are the only ones that could give me such training, but I don't think they will do it. Especially the old man, since he seems to be somewhat uneasy with my wish of being a shinobi. Naruto then sat cross-legged on the floor again, pondering on who could teach him, that is, until some of the words of the dragon finally registered on his mind. He stood up quickly and looked up at the giant being while screaming, Your kin, there are more of you. Why, nobody has seen them. And how would I lead them? The dragon let out a small low chuckle, amused at his outburst, before explaining, That is something that you will know in due time. As to how will you lead them, think of it as a summoning contract if you wish. The beast then let a tired sigh and added, Now, that's enough talk for now. I'm finishing the process of reconstructing your body from a cellular level, hence the long wait. I'm just finishing healing all your external wounds, only the scar that was done to you as a newborn is left to heal. No, leave it as it is. Naruto replied with a stern voice that seemed to belong to an adult. Why would you want that? The dragon asked, genuinely curious. So I don't forget, the last Uzumaki replied dryly while looking down slightly. Good, the dragon thought, giving the boy a small smirk, understanding what he meant. It then replied, very well, it is all done, just focus on the outside world and you'll wake up. From now on we'll be able to speak mentally with each other. I also took the liberty to allow myself to see through your eyes and feel what you feel. Get some rest because we will start your training tomorrow, the 12 wings then added with irritation. Now go. I want to get back to my sleep and you've annoyed me enough already. Getting ready to leave, Naruto looked at the dragon and grinned before saying with a sweet tone, it was lovely to speak with you as well. I see you around then, nighty scaly ball. He quickly focused on the outside of his mindscape to leave, which was proving difficult because he was laughing his ass off after seeing the grumpy look on the mighty beast's face, and the claw trying to hit where he was standing, followed by grumbling about disrespectful blonde brats. With that, he left the mindscape feeling more excited than ever in his life, eager to begin his training and to look for a shinobi willing to teach him. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, is a calm, wise and cheerful man loved by the whole village, usually going around and showing love to his people by giving them a kind warm smile for all to see. However, today was not the case. This better be a joke because God help me, Hiruzen muttered while trying to control his anger. The third was walking at a fast pace towards the holding cells of the Hokage tower, spreading enormous amount of killer intent after receiving the report that the villagers had apparently killed Naruto Uzumaki, who to the third was like a grandson. Arriving to the cells, he looked around and saw the villagers and some of the shinobi with blood on their feet. The villagers just started to shiver in fear under the murderous glare that their leader was giving them all. The old-timer then approached the ANBU captain and ordered, Hound, report. Hound looked at the Hokage, his eyes showing a great amount of pain and regret when he explained, yes, Lord Hokage, while me, Weasel and Cat were watching the boy from the roofs, we managed to catch sight of a mob that was gathering near Naruto's house. We started to get ready to escort the boy to his apartment, but we didn't realize that the mob was meant to keep us occupied while some of the shinobi that were with the mob threw smoke bombs to cloud our view. The time that they managed to delay us was enough for us to lose sight of Naruto and the mob. Once we caught up with them, it was already too late. Hound looked down, trying to be as cold as he could to keep his pain in check. He looked back at the Hokage and finished, when we arrived at the scene, we saw the villagers celebrating. I seized the chance and kept them in place with a mud jutsu while Cat cuffed and knocked them out. Weasel made his way to check on Naruto, who wasn't moving when we arrived, and Sai he confirmed that Naruto was dead. Some of the people that were in the cells showed joy at the news, while others were smiling smugly as if they were heroes. That was of course until an incredible amount of killing intent was released from the third, so powerful was that it could be felt throughout the whole village, making the civilians practically shit themselves. Steadying his breathing, the third directed his gaze towards an uneasy Cat, who along with Hound and Weasel, made the team that started to take care of Naruto after the third found that many of the ninjas that were assigned to keep an eye on the boy seemed to only interfere after the boy was already badly wounded. He chose the three that seemed to genuinely care for the boy as his guardians. Hound being one of the students of Naruto's father, and the only one with the knowledge of his heritage. Weasel, who felt bad after seeing that Naruto was always at the park just sitting on the grass watching the other kids play while their parents kept their gazes on Naruto to make sure he didn't come near their children. He started to take him to the park whenever he had a chance to. Naruto at first felt wary of the sudden show of kindness directed towards him, but the feeling quickly turned into a brotherly love, which was returned by Weasel. And finally, Cat, who was one of Naruto's mother's students. Although she didn't know for certain that the boy was Kushina's son, the third had the feeling that she suspected it, since she became very protective of the boy. The other only ninja that the third could trust with Naruto's safety was Anko Mitarashi, another pariah of the village and Orochimaru's former student. She became Naruto's official handler for whenever he ran around causing mayhem throughout the village with his pranks, making the two form a bond thanks to the connection of being the outcasts of the village, and Anko always seemed too eager for Naruto's pranks to begin the chase. To this date, Naruto has never been caught doing a prank, and not even the ANBU had been able to caught up with him. Anko is the only one that has achieved that, although the third had a feeling that Naruto did that on purpose just to prank Anko directly. Hiruzen let out a painful sigh and asked, "Where did Weasel took Naruto?" "To the boy's house," the ANBU captain answered. Turning around, Sarutobi started to walk through the cells when another ANBU asked, "What do we do with the detainees, Lord Third?" The third stopped near the exit door and looked over his shoulder towards the ANBU that spoke and ordered coldly, "Execute them, all." "What? Why you can't do this?" A now scared ninja stuttered. "We say save the V village from that D demon." A civilian woman screeched. "We are just the I civilians, what about OU?" another civilian was saying before a now sober shinobi cut him off. "That is just unlawful. The council won't allow." The one that delivered the killing blow on Naruto said before being painfully interrupted by an enraged third Hokage. The third jumped towards the shinobi that spoke last and grabbed him by the throat while stating with a cold and strong voice to everyone around, "I am the Hokage. My word is the law, not the elders, not the council's, mine." Execute them or ISWRIY. Before anything else could be said, a huge power wave was felt throughout the village and a frightening known shiver along with it. The third then quickly looked towards Hound and Cat and ordered them to go with him, praying to the gods above that the dragon hasn't escaped the seal. Weasel got back on his feet after a powerful wave of energy was released from Naruto's body that pushed him to the wall. He looked in shock as a red bubbly substance surrounded the body of the boy, modifying it. The sound of bones breaking and fixing themselves covered the room, while Weasel almost could feel the pain by watching the boy's body growing in height and muscle mass, losing all of his baby fat in the process, replacing it with pure muscle. His blonde hair seems to be gaining like a golden glow, and his aura started to flood the room with a feeling of authority, like if Weasel was in the presence of the biggest alpha in the world. That was the sight that the third along with the two other ANBU walked into. Both Hiruzen and Hound felt almost the same that Weasel was feeling from the boy, while Cat looked uneasy as if aroused, which was weird for her since she had a boyfriend and Naruto was 5 years old, but it was like something immense was emanating from his presence. After a couple of minutes, whatever was happening to Naruto stopped and he then opened his eyes abruptly. Those present in the room were startled when they could see that his blue eyes seemed to have gained an unnatural glow along with a golden slit that replaced the natural black dot of the pupil. His canines looked sharper as well. All in all, he had a more commanding and feral look. "Ah! What the F?" Naruto said before closing his eyes quickly due to the pain that suddenly assaulted his head. He grabbed his throbbing head and started to feel dizzy, like if a whole library's worth of information was being poured violently into his mind. Feeling pained and confused, he heard the voice of the dragon inside his head explaining, "Relax, brat. What you're feeling is your new enhanced senses. The confusion and pain is because your mind has to get used to the new range of them. Think of it as if your whole body except your mind have been upgraded." The dragon mentally said to him with a bored tone, "Oh fuck. I can even hear and feel the heart of the people around me. It's too much, damn it. How do I control it?" Naruto mentally replied frantically, trying to maintain his consciousness. "It will take some time to get used to, but in the meantime I'll focus my healing powers on your brain to help you process all the information that you are receiving until your brain gets accustomed to it. For now, just focus on your immediate surroundings and you'll be fine." The dragon answered calmly. "Alright, focus, I can feel 4 presences, around 3 of them seem to be male and 1 female. Strange, the female seems flustered by something. Her heart is beating like crazy. The other 3 seem like frightened," Naruto thought after focusing on his surroundings before he suddenly felt really warm while his head was being pushed into something soft and squishy. Opening his eyes, he saw that the softness and warmth came from the Cat ANBU, more specifically, her breasts. "You're alive. Thank God," Cat said while embracing Naruto with all her might, suffocating him in the process. Not that he minded going like this at all though. Cat? I think he needs to breathe," Hound said, while the others present were sweat dropping at the woman's sudden excitement. "Ah. Right, sorry Naru," she said while nervously giggling, blushing like mad behind her mask. She then reluctantly and carefully broke the embrace with the blonde Uzumaki. "Haha, don't worry about it, Cat," Naruto said with an equal mad blush and a nervous laugh. "Ahem, Naruto, are you okay?" "What happened?" the third asked him. "Well, I honestly don't know, old man. You tell me." Naruto scratched his scruff and continued. "The last thing I remember was being surrounded by the villagers and then boom. All went black, then well, here I am." He feigned ignorance. "Naruto, you met IT, didn't you?" the ANBU captain asked dryly, knowing that the boy was lying. "Sigh, I just can't fool you now, can I, Kakashi?" He Naruto responded with a nervous laugh. "Nope," Kakashi said while giving him an eye smile behind his mask. "God knows how he does that." "Well?" the third said after some seconds of silence. "Yeah, I met the scaly ball," Naruto replied, earning an annoyed grunt from his tenant at the nickname. Chuckling, Naruto continued, "I suppose that you're asking because of my new appearance?" "Well, he said that its tenant cannot be a pathetic weak fool, so it made some adjustments to my body so I can defend us both, since apparently if I die, so does it," he responded, keeping the real conversation as a secret. Did it tell you anything else?" the old Hokage inquired further. "Nope, just don't die again, idiot," Naruto said, using the mock voice of the dragon, making those present chuckle at his upbeat attitude even in such circumstances. "Haha, well then, I'm relieved to see that you are alright. Now, get some rest, Naruto, you've earned it," Sarutobi said while patting the boy's head. He then turned towards the raven-haired ANBU and added, "Weasel will stay here to keep an eye on you for the rest of the night. Hound, Cat, come on, let's get back to the Hokage Tower. I'm sure that Koharu, Hamura and Danzo are already there with the council panicking over the energy wave," he said tiredly. "Sigh, let's see with what nonsense they come up to try and lock Naruto away or to be trained by Danzo. Those civilian and elder fools are always going to extremes when it comes to Naruto. At least he's alive and I can feel great power now coming from him. Just how far will your boy go, Minato and Kushina?" I wonder, the third thought while saying goodnight to Naruto along with the others, with an added kiss on Naruto's cheek by Cat, making the third chuckle at Naruto's red face. After the third and the ANBU left, Weasel approached Naruto and while ruffling his hair, he said, "You gave us quite the scare, Naruto. I was afraid I was going to lose you, little brother. I'm sorry for not being there." The usually stoic A and B said, showing a strange moment of emotion. Naruto stood up from the bed and hugged Weasel tightly while saying, "There's nothing to be sorry, big brother Itachi. I'm sure you did everything you could. The important thing is that I survived and you can buy me that new ramen flavor that the old man Tucci created," he said excitedly at the thought of a new flavor of the food of the gods to taste. "Haha, okay, but still, given what happened today, I think it's appropriate that I give you special training so when you find yourself in these kind of situations by your own, you can protect yourself. Plus, with the improvements that the 12 Wings made, I believe you can get very strong, even before you can go to the academy," Itachi said to a shocked Naruto, who only gave him a blank look. "Well, that was quick. Tell me about it," both Naruto and the 12 Wings mentally exclaimed before Naruto started jumping around, pumping fists in the air while saying, "Oh awesome. I'm going to be such a badass ninja. Just like you, big bro. Yeah, that's the idea. Now come on, go to bed and get some sleep. I'm gonna have to train you in secret so nobody interferes with us, so we'll have to do it at the earliest hour in the Forest of Death, so you need to get some sleep and no telling anyone about it, alright?" Itachi said. "Sir, yes sir." Naruto screamed with a mock salute, but stopped Itachi before he left the apartment. But Itachi? "There's something I didn't tell you about my meeting with the dragon," he said timidly while thinking. "Here we go." Itachi turned to him with a questioning look due to the boy's sudden change in attitude before nodding and dragging a chair in front of Naruto's bed to listen to the real conversation with the 12-winged dragon. Needless to say, it was a long night. 3 years later. For 3 years Naruto has been in a secret training with both the 12 Wings and Itachi, if you can call getting his ass handed to him both physically and mentally by them training, that is. But there's no doubt that he has improved greatly. He was now 8 years old, and in terms of speed, strength and jutsus, he was easily nearing High-Chunin level. When it comes to taijutsu and power, he was without doubt a low Jonin level. But his genjutsu, while not abysmal, wasn't good at all. Due to his giant chakra reserves, he could never achieve the control necessary to cast them. But he was able to dispel them up to a high level C rank. The ones above were dispelled by the dragon itself. The only reason he was in higher level was because he was still a child. So even if he did has a big ass dragon inside him and Kage chakra capacity levels, his body could only take so much. But according to his teachers, he had the potential to be the fastest man that has ever lived. He has also changed physically. While not buffed, he was fit, gaining a lot popularity among the female population, which freaked him out because he knew that the dragon had something to do with it. But it always said that it will tell him when the time comes, much to Naruto's ire. He stopped wearing his signature orange jumpsuit in exchange for a black jacket with neon orange ornaments, a gray shirt with a red dragon face tribal design on the front, black A&BU pants with orange stripes on the sides, and dark blue ninja sandals. His hair and eyes never lost the glow, so Itachi taught him a basic genjutsu to hide the glow on both his eyes and hair. But he only used the one on his hair, since to cover his eyes, he got himself some red shades in honor to his new idol. Itachi is a man that rarely shows emotion, especially regret. There have been less than a few times when he showed such emotion. 2 of those times had to do with Naruto. The first, when he arrived too late 3 years ago and failed to save his life. After Naruto told him about what truly transpired between him and the 12 Wings, the regret grew more because Naruto had indeed died, but he turned that regret into determination to make his adoptive little brother a badass shinobi, so he won't ever be pushed around anymore. The other was the one that he regretted the most. On Naruto's 7th birthday, Itachi bought him a music player along with a forgotten record on the corner of the store. Never in his right mind would have he thought that an album called Bit My Tongue by the mighty Killer Bigfoot Big Cloud would have such an impact on Naruto, an embarrassing one at that. As soon as he finished listening the record, Naruto took on preaching about Killer B's abilities to rap, which to everyone but him were awful. The blonde Uzumaki also adopted a bit of his eccentric persona. Thank God he hadn't started rapping around, or so Itachi hoped. After being revealed to him that Killer B was Cloud's Jinchuuriki, his admiration for the dark-skinned rapper blew through the roofs, to the point where Naruto proclaimed that one day, he would become B's spiritual successor, much to the dread of those around him. But the cheerful and kind knucklehead never changed, he only matured. His pranks were bigger in scale, and not even Enko with the help of Ibiki had managed to trace a prank back to Naruto. Lately, not even Enko was enough to give chase, so a new handler was added to help Enko, a kunoichi specialized in tracking, Hana Inuzuka. The Inuzuka felt insulted at first for being put on babysitting duty, but quickly grew fond of the blonde after one big chase where she almost caught him but lost track of him eventually. Hana felt really frustrated for losing him after chasing for a good part of the night. She hungrily got back home but was surprised when she found a note praising her for being the closest ever to caught up with him, along with an all-you-can-eat coupon for her favorite barbecue restaurant, a gesture that greatly touched her. Said Inuzuka was currently running through the trees in the Forest of Death on search for the blonde, who, for some reason, spent most of his time training inside the forest. She was looking for him to finish his training with his smell and hearing. After gaining his trust, Naruto explained what the 12 Wings had done to his body and how it had upgraded all of his senses, so he asked her if she could help him sharpen his senses of smell and hearing. Since those were the biggest advantages the Inuzuka had, she was stunned by the revelation but agreed nonetheless. So for the past months she has been helping him getting used to the smells and sounds around him. Since the academy was due to start in a few days, she wanted to finish his training before he entered. Damn it, Naruto, where are you? I've been running around this fricking forest for over half an hour, she angrily said to the winds. Getting frustrated, she went deeper into the forest, to where a big lake was. It was one of the most dangerous places in the forest since giant grumpy crabs live there, but knowing Naruto and his ability to get into dangerous situations, she wouldn't be surprised to find him there, which the sounds of grunts and crab pincers closing proved her right. She then headed closer to the river, but she had to suddenly stop to avoid being hit by a black projectile that crashed on a near tree followed by a grunt. Oh shit, that hurt. When did these shelled bastards learn how to use teamwork? Yo, don't tell me that I made fools of all for fuck's sake. Naruto screamed while getting on his feet to prepare a counterattack against the crabs, that is, until he noticed Hana looking at him with a confused expression. Yo Hani, what you doing here? Naruto asked while squinting his eyes and tilting his head to the side. I've you been looking for why, you dummy? I wanted to finish your training before the academy start, but here I find you decimating the crabs, Hana said after regaining her composure from the cute look that Naruto sent her way. Hey! Dem fools started it. Plus our feud is 2 years long and growing. I vowed that I will decimate these assholes and I will keep that vow. Leroy Jenkins, Naruto said before giving a war cry and jumping to engage the crabs once again, though he found himself being grabbed on the back of his jacket by an angry-looking Hana who began to drag the boy out of the forest while screaming obscenities to the crabs. Geez Naruto, can't you keep yourself out of trouble for at least a day? Hana retorted while shamelessly dragging the blonde through the dirt. Hey! It's all just like what the mighty says, don't fear the trouble, don't fear the dream. Make no grumble and make it legit. Yeah, Naruto said while crossing his arms in extravagant ways to make his point clearer. Grr, just what the hell does that even means? It doesn't even make sense. Seriously, stop listening to that guy's rap. It's just filling your head with nonsense. Hana angrily replied while dragging Naruto through the village, now by the wrist at least. Huff, shame. There's just no love for true art. Hey, where are we going now? He said. He really felt sad to see such heresy from his precious people. He wanted them to understand the message the mighty was giving, but they stubbornly continued to deny such enlightenment. Poor fools. She just sighed tiredly. She really liked the boy a lot, but she will never understand his love for such nonsense. To my clan's training grounds, I want to see how you use the knowledge I gave you in a spar against one of us. Hana responded. But wouldn't your clan be angry if they knew that you taught me some of your techniques? The Uzumaki said while scratching his cheek. Yeah, they would. But before I started training you, I asked my mother if it was alright. She was hesitant at first until I told her that it was for you, so she agreed. She's the head of the clan, so nobody can go against her. Plus, we'll be in my family's private grounds, so nobody will be the wiser, Hana said when they reached the front doors of the Inuzuka compound. As they walked towards the clan's head residence, Hana noticed that the dogs around the compound felt intimidated by Naruto's presence. Some of the smaller dogs were even whimpering, hiding behind their masters. They weren't the only ones affected though. The male Inuzuka members seemed to be aggressive towards the boy, as if they felt their claimed territory was being threatened by the blonde, while the females seemed to be flustered as he walked past them. Some of the younger ones were even blushing like mad, which agitated the males even more. They weren't the only females affected though, as Hana felt the same way when she met the boy for the first time. She might not be as feral as her clansmen since for some reason, she didn't inherit most of the traits and bloodlines of her clan, which bothered her greatly because of that. Most of her clan tends to look down on her. She knows that if she weren't the clan's head daughter they would have likely kicked her out of the clan already. But she did possesses the basics of her clan, her smell, ability to understand dogs and their combination jutsus, and their animalistic instincts. Those same instincts are the ones that drives her mad with arousal whenever she is in the presence of Naruto. She had asked the Haimura brothers if they felt something special coming from Naruto once before. They answered that Naruto had a strange smell of an alpha, but it was abnormally strong. They even said that if he got stronger through the years, they might even feel compelled to do as he bid, which was very strange to hear from such prideful dogs. The boy was a huge mystery indeed. Suddenly, the sound of her name being called broke her out of her thoughts. I'm sorry Naruto, what did you said? Hana asked with a faint blush on her cheeks. I asked if I was going to fight you, he repeated, smirking internally after seeing the cute blush adorning the Inuzuka heiress' gorgeous face. Nope, you're strong, but I'm still better using my senses than you, so I really wouldn't be able to see how far you have come unless you fight someone at your level. Hana responded before arriving at the training ground. Then against who? Naruto asked as he walked right behind her through the gates of the grounds. When they arrived, he noticed two boys sitting on a tree branch at the other side of the ground. One was a boy with a green coat covering almost all of his body, stopping just below the nose. He was wearing dark circular shades and had brown wild hair. The other one looked a lot like Hana. He had brown spiky hair, triangular red marks like the ones that Hana has just below his eyes, a gray sweatshirt with fur at the end of the sleeves and hoodie, and a white puppy on top of his head. Why, my little brother, of course. Hey, come on! Hana said with a smile as she urged the boys to come close. As the boys approached, Hana said, Naruto, this is my brother Kiba and his friend Shino. Kiba will be your opponent for this spar. It's a pleasure to meet you, Naruto. Shino said politely. PFT, you want me to spar with this whelp? Kiba scoffed while looking at the Uzumaki as if he was nothing but a mere pest. Don't get ahead of yourself, Kiba. My bugs feel agitated in his presence, and as you can see, so does Akamaru. Shino stated while pointing towards the white pup. What? Come on, boy, he doesn't even look strong. We're going to end this quick. Kiba stated with arrogance while petting the dog's head, who was hiding inside Kiba's sweatshirt. That arrogance of yours might get you killed someday, Kiba. Stop barking and put some strength behind those words. An equally gorgeous and more feral older version of Hana said behind the group, accompanied by a scary wolfish-looking dog with black fur with a white underside and a patch on its right eye. Listen to your mother, pup, this boy is no joke. The dog said, surprising the Inuzuka trio, including Tsum. Well, if Konohamaru says that, then I guess I have to be serious with you. Kiba said while getting ready for the spar. So this is the infamous Naruto Uzumaki, huh? I've heard a lot about you, boy. The name's Tsum. I am both Hana and Kiba's mother. Tsum said, approaching the group. She froze though, as the moment she got close to Naruto, she felt a strong pull towards him and even felt slightly excited. Shocked, she glimpsed towards Hana, who gave her a look as if saying I feel the same. She then looked at Konohamaru, who had eyes of respect towards the boy, confusing her even more. Alright, enough chit-chat. Let's begin this match. Getting out of the shock for seeing her fierce mother in a similar situation as her and the Inuzuka females, Hana said while pulling out 2 bandanas from her pouch. She tied them around both boys' heads to block their eyes, and after placing them on different spots, she added, the rules of this spar are simple. You can only use taijutsu, and you can only use your nose and ears to track your opponent, knock your opponent out, or make him submit to win the spar. Roger. Both boys said, preparing their stances while the rest of the observers went to the sidelines. Hana stepped forward and screamed, begin. Both combatants stood their ground without moving a muscle, trying to listen to the other's movements or locating the other's scent. That all changed when suddenly, Naruto jumped straight at Kiba with his fist at the front. Kiba felt the hit coming at the very last moment, barely avoiding the fist directed to his jaw. However, he couldn't avoid Naruto's knee aimed at his stomach, sending him skidding backwards a little. The Inuzuka boy then clutched his stomach while giving a pained grunt. What the hell? How did he found me so damn fast? I couldn't smell him, or even hear his breath, and it took him seconds to connect with me. This guy is definitely no joke, Kiba thought while crouching and trying to find Naruto's presence. On the sidelines, watching the spar on the side across from Shino, the Inuzuka mother and daughter watched as Naruto was easily fighting Kiba using only 2 senses. Hana then turned towards her mother and asked, Mom, you felt it too, right? When you got close to Naruto, his presence, it's like suffocating. Tsum then replied without losing her attention at the one-sided spar, I hate to admit it, pup, but yes, the boy's presence, it's indeed arousing. Hana was greatly surprised at her mother's admission. The Inuzuka clan had then added, his status as an alpha it's already established. I cannot imagine how overwhelming his presence will be when he reaches maturity. It shocked Hana to hear a little bit of lust slipping into her mother's words as she said that. Yeah, do you think it's because of the dragon? Hana asked, while bringing her brown eyes back to the spar. No, what you feel right now is entirely the boy's presence, and it has huge potential. Maybe in the future it could even compare to the dragon's. The 12 Wings presence is something I've never felt in my life. Not even my ancestor Fenrir has such commanding and frightening aura. If you want to feel what the dragons feel, just focus deeper within the boy's aura and you'll feel a glimpse of the 12 Wings presence. Konohamaru said, shocking both Inuzuka after hearing the proudest of the Inuzuka clan's dogs admitting a bigger alpha. Looking at the boy, both women did as Konohamaru said and started to focus on the presence within Naruto's aura, which was proving difficult due to the blonde's powerful and thick aura. After a few moments of concentration, they felt an incredible amount of power course through their bodies. The presence was such that it even drew a bit of their animalistic instincts out, arousing both women to the point that they even felt their undergarments getting a little wet. Granted, Tsum had faced the mighty dragon on the day of its fierce attack, but back then, she only felt malice and foul presence. But now, focusing on its aura, for the first time in her life she felt both aroused and frightened at the immense presence of the mighty beast. You unbelievable, he heard about how magnificent dragons would be, but this amount of authority, it's just unbelievable, Tsum said, shocked at the feeling, her body still shivering slightly after such intense presence. Tell me about it, Hana weakly responded, doing a little worse than her mother since she was blushing and panting a little. You should dry yourselves, the spar has ended and they will notice your excitement, Konohamaru said, amused, and gave them a low growl-like chuckle after seeing the Inuzuka women's red cheeks. Back on the grounds, Kiba was getting on his feet slowly after yielding his defeat. He took the bandana off and said heatedly, damn it. How the hell did you do that? I couldn't land a single shot and you hit me 5 times. Your breath, it wasn't easy to locate it, but you didn't conceal it very well. Once I found that, I focused on your breath, and as the spar went on, you got frustrated and started showing your presence. That's why I was able to make you submit. Naruto gave a calm reply while shrugging, angering the Inuzuka boy even more. Why you, Kiba angrily said while approaching Naruto in a threatening manner. Kiba, that's enough. Accept your defeat and turn that embarrassment into motivation to get better. He beat you fair, so own it. The Inuzuka matriarch chided her son before she looked back at the boy that has piqued her curiosity. And good match, Naruto, your skills are quickly growing sharp, Some said while getting close to the boys, using a seductive tone when she praised the blonde's growth, earning a small spark of jealousy from her daughter. Thank you lady Tsuma W wasn't easy, but I appreciate the remark, hehe, Naruto said while blushing at both the praise and the tone of her voice. Just some brat. Some said with a feral smile while waving her hand in dismissal. Arg, whatever, Kiba said angrily before walking away, dragging Shino with him after the latter bid goodbye to those present. Sigh, prideful as ever, he definitely needs a humbling, Hana said, disappointed of her little brother's arrogance. She then brought her gaze back to Naruto and added, anyway, great match, Naruto, seeing now, I can say, I have nothing more that I can teach you. As you grow up, your senses will only get sharper, so keep on training and don't hesitate on asking for my help. Hana showed a little glimpse of sadness and disappointment at the idea of not training the boy anymore. Sensing her sadness, the blonde said, Thank you, Hana. You helped me so much already. And don't feel sad, you're still one of my dreaded handlers along with Ko. Naruto gave a small laugh, trying to cheer the brunette a little. Haha, you're right, it won't take long for your next prank to come, I'm sure. Hana said with a brighter tone now. Well, thank you for your hospitality, Hana and Sim. I gotta go meet the old man though, so I gotta run, but I'll see you both around, night? Night. He gave them a warm smile that made them both blush, and then began to walk away. Nodding and bidding him a good night, they stared at the retreating form of the boy, smiling while feeling their bodies still affected by his incredible aura. He's an interesting one, Hana said to her mother, wearing a content smile. Indeed, Sim replied, still feeling a little flustered. It was a cool night in the village hidden in the leaves, and Naruto was lazily walking through the streets with his hands behind his head. He was currently grumbling about the way the people in the Inuzuka compound were behaving around him. Damn it! Just what the hell did you do, Ryu? It's been 3 years and you haven't told me why people become either aggressive or aroused at my presence. And stop saying that is because I look better with the changes you made to my body. Even Hana's mother, who I know has a reputation of being one the toughest kunoichi around, had her heart beating erratically, so I know there's more to it. Naruto heatedly asked the dragon through his mind. When he finds out why, he's either going to kiss my claws or lose his shit, hehe, the dragon mischievously thought before answering. Shut it, brat. I already told you, when you are ready, you'll know everything that's changed and the why, so stop bothering me with your damn questions until then. Why is that so upsetting to you, anyways? Don't you like the way you make females excite in your presence? Is it because you don't swing that way, perhaps? It replied with an amused smirk after Naruto's ire aroused for questioning his sexuality. I'm not gay, you oversized lizard. I like 'em girls. It wouldn't be a problem if only the women around me were affected. The males are the problem, you fool. Most of them tend to be aggressive towards me, you know. And I can feel it's not because they have a grudge against you. Naruto retorted back, remembering two certain Inuzuka's derrieres. Firm, weren't they? The struggle you had against your nosebleed was certainly entertaining, 12 Wings said, amused at Naruto's angry grunt. Now enough with your complaints. You'll know when I see fit, no sooner, no later. The mighty beast finished the discussion right there, making its annoyance clear. Sighing in resignation, knowing that the beast will not say a thing about it anymore, he decided to let it go for now while he found himself on the corner of the roof of an opposite building from the Hokage tower. So, you're really going through with this, huh? The dragon asked, changing the subject. Yeah, it's been eating me ever since I found out. I really need confirmation now, he replied the dragon. Naruto then took a deep breath and jumped through the Hokage's office's window, sweat dropping after seeing his leader giggling perversely while reading a small orange book. Huhuhu Yuna, you naughty girl, the pervert known as the third Hokage said, a mad blush on his wrinkled cheeks and a small drop of blood running down his nose all the while. Ya old pervert! Naruto screamed, startling the perverted Hokage in the process. Seriously, he's always reading that smut, he thought with annoyance at always seeing his adoptive grandfather reading that perverted book. Wah! Oh ahem, and Naruto, my boy, how are you doing? The third said after frantically hiding his book on a keyed drawer. Naruto just walked to the couch that was below the Hokage pictures before answering. Nothing special really, chillin', just wanted to chat. Oh, that sounds good, my boy. How's been your training with the 12 Wings, Itachi and Hana? Hiruzen asked the blonde while signing some of the paperwork on his desk. He had already sent his A and BU guards a silent signal for them to leave Hiruzen alone with the blonde. The old man had the feeling that his surrogate grandson wanted to discuss something private, so he allowed them complete privacy. Painful, Naruto complained, earning a chuckle from the third, but I can't deny it has worked. Ryu has been teaching me how to fortify my mind to counter its power's ill will so I can begin to summon it without too much fear of losing my mind, he then added. Big bro Itachi has been giving me hell with weights all over my body to improve my physique and my speed while he kicks my ass. He massaged his butt as if trying to get rid of some ghostly pain. And my training of smell and hearing with Hana just ended today. She said that she had nothing more that she could teach me at the moment, so I guess that's it. Naruto finished while looking at his father's portrait. That sounds impressive, Naruto. Never thought the dragon would be so eager to help, Hiruzen said, not missing the direction Naruto's eyes were looking at. What about your jutsus? He then asked, trying to avert the boy's attention from the pictures. Well, I know some basic fire and earth jutsus. I've perfected the substitution and the henge. The clone jutsu I just can't seem to do it though. Itachi said that I just had too much chakra for that in genjutsu. But I cover it with the shadow clones you taught me, old man, and Ryu has been teaching me how to blow true dragon's fire, Naruto replied while puffing his chest with pride over his skills. True dragon's fire? The third asked in confusion. Yup, apparently the fire that a true dragon blows is as hot as magma, so it has been teaching me how to do it, Naruto explained before getting back on his feet. That sounds impressive, the third said with a strange nervousness starting to creep up on his gut after seeing the serious look that Naruto was showing. Yeah, Naruto said while giving his back to the Hokage. He then took a deep breath and asked, old man? Did he hesitated that day? His gaze was directed at the picture of Minato Namikaze. Who and what day? The third responded while dreading the answer he already knew. Keeping his gaze at the picture of the fourth Hokage, he said with more volume, my father, the day Ryu attacked, did he hesitated when he sealed it in me? He then looked at the third straight in the eyes with a stern look not fit for an 8-year-old. What? Naruto, how did you knew that? The fourth Hiruzen exclaimed with his jaw on the floor. You just confirmed it, old man, Naruto responded with a devilish smirk. I had my suspicions since I was 5. It's not really hard to see my resemblance with my father. As long as you really look into it, that is plus. I found it hard to believe that the beloved fourth would just take an orphan child and seal a big-ass dragon inside him. Not if he wasn't willing to do the same with his own son. He looked back at the Hokage and continued. Kushina Uzumaki, the Jinchuuriki of the Nine Tails, she was my mother, right? Don't lie to me, Hiruzen, not anymore, he said with a harsh tone that demanded authority. Wincing at the venom used on Minato's title and the harshness on his tone at the question relating Kushina, Hiruzen took a deep breath and answered resigned, yes, Naruto, Minato, and Kushina were your parents. The reason you weren't told was because of their enemies, especially your father's. If Rock were to know that the Yellow Flash had a son, I don't doubt they would go as far as to wage war just to have payback on Minato for decimating their army in the Third Great War, he said sadly and tiredly. He dreaded this conversation for so long now, but there was nothing to do now but to answer truthfully. Your heritage was to be revealed to you when you either achieved the rank of Jonin or reached the age of 18. I'm so sorry, Naruto, for lying to you, the Hokage said apologetically while a lone tear traveled down his cheek. With a heavy sigh, Naruto stared at the floor for a couple of seconds, processing all of the information he just received. Even having my suspicions for some years now, it's still not easy to hear the truth. Damn, he thought solemnly. He then looked back at the Hokage and said, I understand, but you didn't answer my question though. Did they hesitated or not? He said with a stern look and a harsher tone. Giving a defeated look, the third said, I honestly don't know, Naruto. That is something that only they could answer. But I'm sure that it was the most painful decision of their lives. I'm sure they didn't want. He couldn't finish though, because Naruto cut him off when he interjected bitterly. Yeah, that's sad and all, but it really doesn't matter anyway now, does it? Naruto's bitter voice could be heard saying while leaning on the window frame, looking at the village. Sigh, I guess not. How do you feel about them, Naruto? Hiruzen asked with a painful sigh and a sorrowful look. Naruto remained with his left shoulder leaned on the window and his eyes closed. He let some minutes go to recollect his thoughts and search for an answer. He then opened his eyes and while keeping his gaze on the distance, he said, I don't know, Sai, it's not hate, but it's not love either. I guess one day maybe I'll know. His voice was sour and distant. I feared as much. I knew one way or another he would resent you, Minato, Kushina. I just hope that resentment does not turn into hatred or it could lead him to a very dark path, the third thought with a sad look, feeling his real age for the first time in years. I see, he replied after some seconds of uncomfortable silence. After some minutes of more silence, Naruto walked in front of the Hokage's desk and with arms crossed, asked, Did they left anything for me? Something that could help me with my career? Nodding, the third replied after a sigh, Actually yes, they did. The old-timer then walked towards the previous Hokage pictures. He took the fourth's picture and removed a hidden lock on the back, revealing a scroll. He took it and gave it to Naruto, then while explaining, They left this for you. I don't know all the contents, but Minato instructed to give it to you after you were told of your heritage. I see, is it all? The blonde took it and said after looking at it, No, your parents' fortune is yours. I believe the instructions to claim it are in the scroll. Your parents' house is yours as well. There might be some scrolls and books that'll help you on their library, but I'm afraid you won't be able to live there until you reach the Chunin rank. I could try and force he was saying until Naruto cut him off again. Don't worry about it. I'll just pick the stuff that can help me. I have no interest on that house or anything but the knowledge, Naruto said with a considerable amount of bitterness in his voice. I see. Well, it's yours anyway, so you can do with it whatever you want, Hiruzen replied with a sad smile when seeing Naruto's conflicted feelings for his parents. Well, thanks, old man. I'd better get going so I can go through the stuff in here. Itachi gave me the week to rest before the start of the academy, so there might be something to do in here, Naruto said while walking to the office's window. Well, see you around, old man, he said while getting ready to leave. Alright, Naruto, have a good night. I'll be here if you need me, the third said with a grandfatherly smile. With a slight nod, Naruto left for the roofs and headed to his apartment, leaving a third Hokage to melt on his chair while looking at the ceiling, with a defeated feeling flooding his heart. While the conversation between Naruto and the Hokage was taking place, a beautiful raven-haired woman was walking through the Uchiha compound towards the council room. She could feel the tension brewing inside the clan and knew that whatever her husband and the rest of the clan's leadership were planning could have dire consequences for the clan. I just hope whatever it is does not involve any of my boys, she nervously thought. The blackhead arrived soon after at the council room and could see that she was the last one to get there. She greeted those present and took her place next to her husband, who was seated in the clan's head place. She was the original heiress to the clan, but after an arranged marriage, Fugaku took Mikoto's place as clan head so she could take care of their children. Or so they say. She knew that the rest of the Uchiha elders didn't want someone as kind and warm as Mikoto to lead, since the Uchiha wanted to keep the appearance of a powerful and superior clan. Mikoto never saw herself, or the other Uchiha, as better than the rest of the village. Ultimately, that cost her the head seat, not that she minded at all anyway. As long as she had her sons, she didn't care for anything else, not even her husband. Very well, now that everyone is here, allow me to get to the reason why I called you all tonight, Fugaku stated after seeing his wife on her place. He then crossed his fingers in front of his face while his elbows rested on the table and continued, "It is no secret that the Hokage and their advisors have been pushing us further and further from the village's matters, trying to isolate us on the corner of the village, forgetting the fact that we are also founders of this village," he said sternly but loud before continuing. It was Madara who alongside Hashirama Senju made truce and together founded this great village. But it was the same Madara that saw that the Senju were making sure that no Uchiha would take place as ruler of the Leaf. It went as far as even having the second Hokage, Tobirama Senju, moving our compound to the corner of the village and giving us the task to form the police force, with the excuse that he could not trust anybody else with the protection of the village. And as the fools he believed us, we fell for those deceiving words. But not Madara. He saw through such lies of the Senju. He warned us, but we didn't listen. He warned that another Senju would take the place of Hashirama once he retired, and we blindly trusted the Senju. We followed our rival clan's leader instead of our own, and even after Madara's death at the hands of the very one that we trusted, we kept our words to ourselves. Once Tobirama was chosen as the second, we trusted him, and he ended up pushing us to the corner, treating us like a second-rate clan. He even made sure no Uchiha would ever be chosen to lead the village. Even a clanless fool was chosen as the fourth. Fugaku heatedly stated. Kano, one of the three elders of the clan, stood and asked what was on everyone's mind. "We are very aware of our past mistakes and everything you're saying, Fugaku. But what are you getting at here? I doubt you called us just to reminisce." Fugaku stood and walked to the center of the room. Looking at those present, he replied, "Yes, I didn't call you to remember our misfortunes. I called you so we can take action. The Senju are gone. Only one is left, and she has no interest in the village. And now, even second-rate clans like the Sarutobi and the Hyuga are taking the power that we created. That is unacceptable. What are you suggesting, Fugaku?" "Omi Uchiha?" another elder asked. Fugaku looked around the room and with a stern face and a serious tone, he replied, "That we claim our right. If they don't accede to it, then we take it by force if we must." The room was deadly quiet. Everyone was pondering on the Uchiha clan head's words. Seeing the dangers that such action could bring, Mikoto decided to be the voice of reason before her clan's own arrogance drives them to their own doom. "Fugaku, think about what you're saying. This could lead the village to a civil war. We would be damaging our own home," she countered frantically, hoping that her clansmen could see what such action would entail. "The clan is our home, Mikoto. Don't forget that. There will be no need for a civil war if the village recognizes our claim. We are Uchiha first." Fugaku exclaimed coldly. "Fugaku is right. We cannot tolerate this treatment anymore. The village is mainly feared because of us. It is only fair that one of us leads," an Uchiha counselor said. "But how are you planning to go about this, Fugaku?" Iko Uchiha, the last of the elders, questioned. "Hiruzen is a wise man. He prefers peaceful action than one that will harm others. I will speak to him. I'll make sure he promises to choose his successor in one of us. If he refuses, we'll use Itachi's new spot as an ANBU captain to spy on the Hokage so we can find a time to strike, either quietly or loud," Fugaku said, making Mikoto's heart break after hearing her husband's plan with their son. But before she could state her refusal, an elder interrupted her. "Will Itachi agree to this?" Omi questioned. "He will. He's an Uchiha and my son. He won't refuse," Fugaku coldly stated before receiving the okay from the council. He adjourned the meeting and proceeded to leave, leaving a shattered Mikoto alone in the room, confused at what to do next. "Damn it, Fugaku! What am I supposed to do now?" Mikoto thought while grabbing her head to try and ease her migraine. Naruto arrived to his apartment feeling anxious and still a bit troubled for the conversation he just had with the third. Seeing the front of the building and seeing the graffiti with insults towards him just made him bitterer at the thought of his parents' decision. Seriously, just why would they even think that people will respect me? Naruto thought while opening his door. He got to the kitchen and cooked a cup of instant ramen while mentally preparing to open the scroll. Here goes nothing, I guess. He grabbed the scroll and sat on the floor. Grabbing a kunai, he cut his thumb and let a drop of his blood drop on the scroll. The scroll opened and it revealed 3 drawn squares with words written on them. The first one said letters, the second one said scrolls, while the last one said inheritance. Focusing on the one that says letters, he poured some chakra into it. It then revealed 2 scrolls. One was red while the other one was yellow. Grabbing the red one, Naruto saw that on the side had the name Kushina written on it, and after opening it, it revealed a letter which he began to read. Dear Naruto, hello my beautiful baby, I am your mother. I don't know if I'm going to be able to be with you and watch you grow up, so in case I don't, let me tell you something about me so you can know me a bit. My name is Kushina Uzumaki and I was born in the Eti village in Whirlpool Country. But when I was 7, I was chosen to be the next Jinchuuriki of the nine-tailed fox, since Granny Mito was getting too old to hold it. Sadly, a few years after I got to Konoha, my home village was destroyed along with the rest of my clan. This was one of the reasons that set off the Third Great War. I would guess that by the time you read this, you'll be the last of the Uzumaki. But I know you won't be alone. You'll probably have my bloodlines as well. This are lava and boil release. I left you some scrolls with all the knowledge I have about them. I'm sure you can find somebody to help you with them. I also leave you my katana. It's a special blade made by an expert of the Uzumaki clan. You don't know how much it pains me to leave you. When I found out that I was pregnant with you, me and your father were so happy. I was already imagining all the things that we would live as a family. But sadly, it appears that life had another plan for us. Just know that I love you with all my heart, and that you will always carry a piece of my soul with you, my baby. Remember that me and your father will always be watching you and will be waiting for you when your time comes. Live at the fullest and without regrets, my boy. Pay attention in school, don't stay up late and eat healthy. I love you so much, Naruto, never doubt that. P.S. Stay away from ramen. Your father was an addict to it, but it's not good for your health. And also, when you find Kurama, take care of her. She might be a bitch at first, but she's just lonely. Love, your mommy, Kushina Uzumaki. HN, lava and boil release? That sounds cool. I wonder if I do have them? And who the hell is Kurama? Naruto thought, apparently not fazed by the dark spots on the letter that signaled that his mother was crying or even the letter at all. Grabbing the yellow scroll then, he saw that it also had a name on the side, although this one said Minato, so doing the same with it, he opened it and began to read it. Yo Naruto, hey boy, how is it going? I'm your old man. I know that there must be a lot of things going through your mind once you hear the truth of your heritage. Whatever you feel right now, my boy, know that leaving you is the hardest thing I can have ever go through, but I hope that in time, you come to understand our reasons. I know it won't be enough, but your mother, and I will always be in your heart. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Minato Namikaze and I was an orphan. I never knew my parents or anybody who shared my last name. But Hiruzen took care of me when I left the orphanage and went to the academy, where I met you, mother. I had the dream to become Hokage to protect everyone, especially you and your mother, a dream which I achieved when I was named the 4th after the Third Great War. The reason that the knowledge of your heritage was kept hidden from you was because of the enemies I made in the war, especially Rock. The whole village loathes me, so I trust that now that you are strong, you can take on anything that is thrown at you. There's something about me that nobody else but your mother knows. I recently discovered that I have a bloodline. It's called magnetic release. It's a rare bloodline possessed by a very few, mainly in the land of wind. Along with my wind affinity probably means that I hail from there, so I believe that you may inherit that along with your mother's bloodlines. I also left you my most precious jutsus, especially the Rasengan, which I believe you can finish it since I never got to do it, and the Flying Thunder God, which earned me the nickname of the Yellow Flash. I know you can take it even further that I could. Whatever you choose to become, know that I'll always be proud of you, my boy, and that I love you without measure. I'll be waiting with your mom when your time comes. Be safe and live your life at the fullest. With love, Minato Namikaze, the 4th Hokage and your father. Another bloodline and those 2 jutsus. Well, now that'll certainly come in handy, Naruto thought after finishing reading. He stored the letters in the scroll again and poured some of his chakra on the next square in the scroll, where after a poof of smoke, a medium-sized wooden box appeared. Opening it, he found 8 green scrolls with the word wind on the sides, 8 white scrolls with the word lightning written on the sides, 4 cream-colored scrolls with the word boil, 5 bright red scrolls with the word lava, 1 dark gray with the word magnetic and 2 yellow scrolls, 1 with the word Rasengan and the other thunder. Oh, this is cool. But I probably shouldn't try them until I show them to Big Bro, Naruto thought. Storing them again, he then focused on the last square with the word inheritance, pouring some chakra into it. It revealed a scroll with instructions on how to gain access to his parents' state, and how to open the safe with all of their money and most precious possessions, and his mother's katana with its sheath. Storing everything on the scroll and sealing it again, he went to his wardrobe where he moved his shoes out of the way and removed a piece of wood to hide the scroll in the hole below it. Moving back to his bed, he took his shoes and jacket off, laid on his bed and just stared at the moon, trying to understand just what the hell were his feelings towards his parents until sleep eventually caught up with him and dozed off. Inside his mindscape, the 12 Wings was silently watching everything through its container's eyes, deciding not to interfere and just let him figure everything out by himself. The dragon then closed its eyes and before sleep claimed it as well. It thought, if he doesn't figures out what are his feelings for them, I'll need to step in before our curse seizes the confusion to claim him. Mikoto Uchiha was pacing around her home like crazy, She was going mad on her head trying to find a way out of this mess, and she knew that she had to choose between her family and her village. On one hand, she didn't really care much for her clan. She has grown bitter towards them since she was a child. She hated to see how her clansmen treated others and hated how she got a reprimand every time she hung out with people outside her clan. But even so, her 2 sons were also part of the clan and they were her life. But the thought of sacrificing innocent people in a civil war just to show that they were the strongest clan was unbearable. Damn it! What do I do? What do I do? Mikoto thought while trying to calm herself. Going to her backyard, she sat on the steps that led to the grass and stared at her younger son training with shuriken. Fugaku is even trying to turn Sasuke like him. An arrogant little prick. Doesn't matter how much I try to make Sasuke understand that he can be his own person. He only cares for Fugaku's acknowledgement, she thought bitterly. She hated to see her younger son like this. Mikoto breaking out of her troubled thoughts, she turned around and saw her husband walking towards her. With a small frown on her face, she bid a good morning to him before he said, "Come, Itachi is waiting." Getting up, she followed Fugaku to a room where Itachi was waiting for them. Kneeling in front of him, he took on a kneeling position as well and said, "Good morning, father and mother. What is it that you wish to discuss with me?" Itachi loves the village more than he loves the clan. I know that he won't go along with this. Not willingly, Mikoto thought with worry at the idea of her son being forced into this madness. She then looked at her husband with a hint of hate before he explained, "Itachi, your clan needs you. You've seen how the Hokage and his elders treat us, putting other clans ahead of us, co-founders of this village, denying our right at the Hokage seat. The clan, your family, cannot take this anymore, so we are going to act." Fugaku, strangely, was showing a little bit of eagerness. "Sigh, I knew this would happen." Itachi kept his gaze to the ground as if processing the information he just received. Looking up at his father's eyes again, he replied with an expressionless look, "I understand, father. What is it you wish me to do?" "What? This can't be happening and not him too, please." Mikoto was shocked at hearing her eldest son seemingly agreeing with the plot. With a small smirk on his face, Fugaku said to his son, "Now that you've reached the ANBU captain rank, you only answer to the ANBU commander and the Hokage, so for the time being, just inform us of everything you see around, especially when you guard Hiruzen. When the time comes to make our move, I'll tell you what's next." Getting back on his feet, he looked down at Itachi, waiting for his answer. Itachi stood up and turned to leave, but before he did, he looked back over his shoulder and with a small nod, he said, "I understand." He then left the room with those words, followed shortly by Fugaku. Mikoto felt despaired now. She could only look at the ground and with a small tear on her cheek, she thought, No, this can't be happening, damn it. What do I do now? She desperately grabbed her hair trying to stop the headache. Thinking of a solution, she was able to come up with an idea. I can't betray my children no matter what, they're my family and I cannot let them fall through this path. But, heading to her kitchen, she sat on a chair and looked at the sky through the window, thinking, but I can at least warn Hiruzen, even if it is my family. The village does not deserve this, but how do I do that? I'm sure Fugaku knows I'm not okay with this, so he'll be keeping an eye on me. She dug her brain hard trying to come up with a way to warn the third until it finally hit her, Naruto. She then quickly made her way to the bedroom and wrote on a small paper sheet, and after finishing, she folded it and applied a seal. She then got back to her kitchen and prepared 2 small lunches. Mikoto knew who the boy was, of course. He looked exactly like his father at his age. She was best friends with Kushina and had a crush on Minato when they were young, but was a good friend to him as well. She could not take care of the boy because it would raise suspicion, so she put Itachi on the task. She felt relieved when Itachi began proclaiming that Naruto was his little brother, just like Sasuke. Only she knew that, of course, once in a while, she would go and visit the blonde and spend some time with him. The boy even developed a crush on her, which she found cute, though. Being around the boy made her strangely excited, but since Fugaku knew of her visits to the Jinchuuriki, he says nothing about it since he knows of the boy's parents and Mikoto's friendship with them, so he has no reason to suspect. He's close to Hiruzen and usually spends time with him in private, so he can deliver my message and Fugaku would not suspect anything. I'll have to leave Itachi's involvement out. I can't let anything happen to him. I'll just warn Hiruzen of the turmoil in the clan. Packing everything she needed, she went and gave Sasuke a small kiss on his forehead and soon later, took off to find the blonde. I just hope everything works out in the end. Naruto was laying on the ground, panting hard. He just finished training some taijutsu moves that he's been doing since the morning. Since the academy was just 2 days to start, he wanted to get sharper at everything he learned in the 3 years he's been training with Itachi and the 12 wings so that he can have a head start. Oh shit, maybe if I show that I'm better than the academy students, the old man will let me graduate earlier. Or even skip the academy altogether. Standing up, he grabbed some water from the river and refreshed his hair and face. Hello, Naruto. He suddenly heard his name being called by an angelical voice. Turning around, he felt his heart skip a beat at seeing his crush, Mikoto Uchiha. Oh yeah, he had a big-ass crush on the Uchiha matriarch. Don't get him wrong though, he liked Kat, Enko and Hana as well. But Mikoto's lovely attitude and cooking just made him develop a crush on Itachi's mother, even more so when she once in a while came to spend some time with him. What? Is his hair and eyes glowing? She thought while looking at his hair and eyes. She then asked, Naruto, sweetie, why is your hair and eyes glowing? Are you alright? She kneeled down to comb his hair with her fingers and looked directly at his beautiful glowing blue eyes, feeling strangely swayed by them. Gulp I it was all one of the CH changes the 12 wings did to me and Miko I might, don't worry I just have to hide the changes to other people though. I guess I was so caught up with my training that I didn't realize you were here he Naruto said with a mad blush and a heavy stutter due to seeing her so close to him, as well as the feel of her soft hands brushing his hair so delicately. Standing up and fighting her blush down, Mikoto looked at the side while taking her hand to her chest and said, Oh alright well it does look as striking and amazingly beautiful but if you say that is alright then I'll believe you she said, giving him a gorgeous smile while having a battle within herself. Geez Mikoto, what the hell is wrong with you? He's a kid. Although he'll grow up like his father dammit, shut it. Alright so what you doing here Miko? Not that I'm complaining though Naruto said with a nervous laugh. Regaining her composure, Mikoto remembered the reason of her visit and responded, What? I can't come to visit you any longer, she said with a playful hurt tone on her voice, smiling at the boy's quick refusal waving his hand furiously to the sides. She then continued, I'm kidding sweetie, don't worry, I came to bring you this she pointed to the lunches she brought, so come on, let's go and eat them. She grabbed him by the wrist and took him to the side of the river, where they sat down resting below the shadow of a tree and started eating peacefully. That was great Miko. I love your food. It's the best, Naruto said while giving her a wide smile and a thumbs up. Giggling at his enthusiasm and his ever-present praise to her food she said, Well, I'm glad you liked it Naruto. She then fidgeted a little and added, Now, before I go, I wanted to ask you for a favor if it's possible she said while giving him a cute look to convince him, which it worked immediately because the blonde was giving her a smile and a blazing fire in his eyes while he quickly replied, What? Of course Miko. Whatever it is. You know that I will gladly walk through a river of lava while carrying a goat on fire if it makes you happy, he exclaimed with a macho voice while flexing his muscles to impress her, not lying about what he would do for his love in the slightest. Which it also worked since he wasn't wearing a shirt and along with his glowing eyes and hair, he definitely looked damn good. Damn it Mikoto, for God's sake, he's your late best friend's son, control yourself. Fighting down her blush again, she giggled at his words and replied, Now, there's no need to go that far sweetie. I just need you to deliver this to the Hokage next time you see him. Just make sure that you are alone, okay? It's very important that not even the A and B you are present, okay? She handed him the folded sheet. You can count on me Miko. I'll make sure to deliver this to the old man when we're alone, but is everything alright? Naruto grabbed the envelope and kept it on his backpack before asking with worry evident in his voice. Oh yes, everything it's alright sweetie. It's just something I need to discuss with him. That's all. Getting on her feet, she dusted her dress from the dirt on the ground and gave him a loving kiss on his cheek, which lasted longer than she intended to, leaving an incredibly red Naruto in the way. Smiling after breaking the kiss, she said lovingly, Well Naruto, I got to go now, don't overdo the training, alright? And good luck at the academy. You know that whatever you need help with, you can just ask Itachi for me and I'll come right away. She then flashed him a dazzling smile and added, Well, I'll see you next week, bye sweetie. She waved at him and left with a blush on her cheeks while thinking, I just hope that Hiruzen will be able to ease the clan. Damn she's so beautiful yo Naruto thought while touching the cheek that Mikoto kissed. Deciding to call it a night, he picked up his stuff and walked home, thinking about a dark-haired beauty on the way back home. Three figures walked towards the Hokage tower. They were on a meeting with the civilian head counselor when an ANBU interrupted the meeting saying that they have been summoned by the Hokage to discuss an urgent matter. What could be so important to call us at this hour? Do you have any idea Danzo Koharu? Hamura asked to his fellow elders who were walking beside him. No idea, let's just hurry up and see what it is, Danzo replied dryly, keeping his cold demeanor. Arriving at the tower, they headed to the Hokage's office and once outside of it, they knocked on the door. They heard the voice of the Hokage saying come in and proceeded to open the door. After the three walked into the room, they noticed that the third was there with Weasel at his side. We are here Lord Hokage, what is it that you wish to discuss so urgently with us? Kohara asked after the three elders stepped into the room. Urging them to take a seat, Hiruzen motioned Weasel to come close and said, Yes, Weasel, please inform them of everything you just told me. Very well. Itachi removed his ANBU mask and began. As you might know, my clan is currently in a turmoil. My father and the rest of the council feel that we are not given the respect that we deserve, so they are planning to force Lord Third to choose his successor from the Uchiha clan, and if the Hokage is to refuse, they are planning to stage a coup to take control of the village by force. Also, they've asked me to spy on everything I see at ANBU HQ and whenever I guard Lord Hokage. He explained with a stern look. I knew that something was brewing inside the Uchiha clan, but to think they would go so far as to risk a civil war just to take the power of the village. Kohara said worriedly. She was a pacifist, and she really didn't like where this was going. This is indeed very troubling Lord Hokage. What is that you intend to do? Hamura asked after fully registering Weasel's troubling words in his mind. I'm going to let Itachi report to his father and his clan. Let them think we are oblivious to everything. Itachi said that Fugaku will come to try and convince me to oblige to their claims. I'll try to ease them then. I do not want things to spiral out of control. the Hokage said while massaging his temples, trying to ease his raging headache. We cannot let this go out of control. We need to assure that they pose no threat to our village. Does everyone in the Uchiha clan feel the same as the council? Danzo said. On the outside he seemed calm and calculative as ever, but on the inside he was greatly interested in this development that could present great advantages for the old warhawk. I'm afraid so. Everyone in my clan is taught to think as an Uchiha first, the village always comes second. Itachi said with a stoic face, not revealing the disappointment he feels towards his clan. And what about you? Why betray your clan and your father? Hamura asked the Uchiha. Because I love the village, I serve the leaf first, it has always been that way. Itachi answered without a drop of doubt in his voice. Yes, thank you for your loyalty, Itachi. The third exclaimed with pride in his voice. But what do we do if the tension continues to rise? I don't believe they will easily accept to back down. Danzo said, with interest hidden in his words, an interest that both Hiruzen and Itachi managed to catch. I'll take care of it. Itachi responded without hesitation. What do you mean, Itachi? Hiruzen asked, not liking the sound of the Uchiha heir's ominous words. The problem is rooted deeply within the Uchiha's teachings. Even if we were to assassinate the Uchiha Council, the idea to revolt will continue. The only way to avoid it will be if there's no one left to revolt. Itachi replied coldly, as if what he was hinting at was not disturbing him one bit. You're surely not suggesting, Koharu said with shock on her face, dreading the answer to come. Yes, Elder Koharu, if push comes to shove, I will decimate my clan, but it will be me who does it, no one else. Itachi said without hesitation or remorse in his words. Are we crazy? We are talking about slaughter here. An entire clan. Hiruzen, you can't possibly support this. Koharu exclaimed heatedly. This was madness. There was no excuse for slaughter. With a heavy sigh and a giant headache, he thought, I'm definitely getting too old for this shit. With closed eyes he then responded, Itachi is right, Koharu. As much as it pains me, if I have to choose between a civil war or the Uchiha clan, then I see no other way. They've been thinking this way since Tobirama-sensei took the position. They've always thought the Uchiha comes before the village. His voice was tired and the remorse was palpable. Sigh, this is madness, Koharu muttered dejectedly. It's been a long time since I've seen you take the right choice, Hiruzen, although I believe we shouldn't give them time to plan. Danzo said, urging for immediate action. No, the elimination is a last resort plan. I'm not going to go through with it if I can help it. I know that just like Itachi, there are Uchiha who are loyal to the village first, the third said while thinking. The message that Naruto gave me from Mikoto supports that. She's just a desperate mother protecting her children. I cannot deny them the chance to straighten their path. Standing from his chair, Hiruzen looked at the village through his windows and said, then it's settled. We will continue normally. When the time comes, we'll proceed accordingly. Understood, Lord Hokage. The three elders said in unison before stepping out of the office, leaving the Hokage alone with Itachi. I'm sorry about this, Itachi. I cannot even fathom how hard it must be for you to do this, the third said to Itachi with an apologetic smile. It is not, Lord Hokage. I love my village and I will do everything in my power to protect it, even if it pits me against my own blood. But I only have one request, Itachi said with stern eyes. The old Hokage nodded and took a seat to listen to the Uchiha teenager's request, praying to God that things don't unnecessarily escalate. Oh man, what time is it? Naruto muttered as he woke up at the morning light. Looking at his clock beside his bed, he freaked out saying, oh shit. I overslept, damn big bro's gone be mad. Heading to his bathroom, he quickly brushed his teeth, grabbed an energy bar after, and ate it on his way towards the forest of death. Running as fast as he could, he arrived at the clearing and looked around searching for Itachi. Not seeing him anywhere, he let out a breath of relief before going stiff at the sound of a voice that said, You're 30 minutes late, little brother. You didn't get sloppy on me this week now, did you? Itachi said, coming out from behind a tree. Scratching the back of his head, he said nervously, What? No. I just overslept, thinking about stuff, you know. Hee. Haha, okay, I'll give you a pass for today, Itachi said while approaching him. He then sat down on the grass and asked Naruto, So, did you spoke to the Hokage about your parents? Sitting down on the grass as well, Naruto replied, Yeah, I spoke with him and yes, the fourth and the Jinchuuriki of the Ninetales were my parents. Looking down at the ground, he grabbed a scroll from his backpack and channeled some chakra into it, making the scroll open. Naruto then began to get all the contents out of it while saying, This is what they left me. They also left me their house, but I really have no interest in living there. I'll just go and take the stuff I need from the library and the vault. I see, Itachi muttered before seeing the square with the word letters written on it. He figured that both Minato and Kushina left him some letters. Knowing his inner turmoil regarding his parents, he asked, Did they wrote you some letters? Receiving a nod in confirmation, he continued, And how do you feel about it? Looking at the sky while taking a deep breath, Naruto answered, I honestly don't know, big bro. It's confusing, really. Sighing heavily, Itachi said, I see. Well, you'll need to figure it out soon, little brother. Conflicting feelings can have a negative impact on one's path, especially yours. Whether it's love or hate doesn't matter, as long as you know, okay? Yeah, I understand, I'll figure it out, one way or another, Naruto conceded. He then remembered something that was written on his mother's letter and looking back at Itachi, he asked, Itachi, There was something weird on Kushina's letter. She said that I gotta find and take care of some girl named Kurama. Do you know who that is? Confused, Itachi started to think if he knew anyone with that name, but not finding anyone in his mind, he shook his head in the negative. He said, there is a clan here in the Leaf with that name. They have a seat in the council as well, but I don't think she was talking about them but a girl named Kurama. I have no idea, little brother. Perhaps you should ask my mother. I believe she was close friends with Kushina and Minato, so maybe she knows who that is. Surprised at the revelation of his crush's friendship with his parents, he nodded and took the scrolls and laid them on the ground as he said, well, they left me these scrolls as well. Apparently I may have 3 bloodlines. Kushina had the lava and boil release and Minato had the magnetic release, so they left me some scrolls for those in case I managed to activate them. Minato also left me these wind and lightning scrolls and the scrolls for the Rasengan and the flying thunder god. Naruto said, excited at the last 2 legendary jutsus. Well now, that is impressive. The magnetic release is one of the rarest bloodlines there is. But we won't know if you have them until the next few years. Bloodlines like those usually activate on the user's teenage years, so we'll focus on the wind jutsus for now. The Rasengan and the Thunder God will have to wait. The Rasengan is an A-rank jutsu, so when you manage to perfect everything I've taught you, we'll work on that one. The Thunder God though, that's an S-class, so until you've perfected the Rasengan and everything else, you can focus on that, alright? Itachi said while reading some of the scrolls. Okay, so what we'll be doing today? I want to be the sharpest of my class so that maybe the old man would let me skip the academy, and make me a shinobi already. Naruto said while pumping his fist at the air with an ass-kicking look. Standing up, Itachi let a small chuckle at the blonde's excitement and replied, now, one step at a time, Naruto. I was actually going to tell you that you're gonna have to lay low. Don't get too much attention to yourself, little brother. You're already a Chunin level ninja, so you'll have no trouble with school, but keep it low, okay? He ordered while ruffling his hair. Looking at him, Naruto whined loudly. What? But why? I don't want to waste 5 years learning stuff I already know. I want to go on mission and kick some ass, you know. Looking at him dead on the eyes, Itachi hit Naruto's forehead with 2 fingers and said with a voice that left no debate, now little brother, take this as an order from me. Deception is a shinobi's biggest weapon. There is no need for you to show everything you know so early in the game, so keep a low profile, okay? Huff, I'll do as you say then, Naruto said with a pout while massaging the spot that Itachi hit. They then proceeded to train on Naruto's jutsus, and one of the wind jutsus that his father left him. The training went on for almost 5 hours and now both of them were eating lunch. Getting ready to begin his shift, Itachi ruffled Naruto's hair and said, well, I gotta go now, little brother, so rest for the remaining of the day so you can be fresh for tomorrow, okay? Receiving a nod from the blonde, he began to walk away, but before he was gone, he looked back and said, I believe my other little brother Sasuke will be in your class too, so do me a favor and try to befriend him, okay? He's a lone wolf like you, so I believe you two would make good friends, and who knows, if you two become best friends, you might be able to see my mother more often. Itachi then left with a chuckle at Naruto's red face. Turning around, Naruto picked his stuff up and headed home while thinking dreamily, can't deny that would be cool though. The academy's grounds were filled with children waiting for the beginning of the semester while the parents were glaring hard at the blonde Jinchuuriki who was sitting on a swing hanging from a tree. Not that he was giving them a damn though. Man, 5 years in this place, what a drag, Naruto thought while a pineapple head boy sneezed, mumbling something about somebody stealing his catchphrase. He then heard his name being called by a familiar loving voice, and after turning around, he saw his crush, looking as beautiful as ever. Miko. You're here to see Sasuke off? Naruto said, excited as always to see the most beautiful woman in the world for him. Well, and to see you off as well, sweetie. This is the beginning for my 2 boys to become men, she said while giving him a hug. She then rested her hands on his shoulders and said, I hope that you learn a lot and that you become the fine shinobi I know you'll be, sweetie. And I also hope that you and my Sasuke become friends. That way you can have an excuse to come visit more often. She then gave him a kiss on the forehead and said goodbye, leaving a dopey blonde behind. Getting out of his stupor, Naruto heard the bell ring and immediately headed towards his classroom. Once there, he headed to an empty seat near the window, and after he sat on his spot, a raven-haired boy with a familiar face sat next to him soon after he claimed his seat. This must be Sasuke, he looks like a, Naruto thought. He then surveyed his surroundings and saw Kiba, who was looking at him with a challenging look. He was sitting next to the boy called Shino, who gave him a nod, and a cute blue-haired girl with a cream-colored hooded jacket who was looking at him through the corner of her lavender-colored eyes with a mad blush all over her face. He saw that even on their first day, there were already girls looking at both him and Sasuke with dreamy eyes. A pink-haired girl was looking hard at Sasuke while a blonde-haired girl was looking hard at him. Great, fangirls. His thoughts were cut short though, when the door of the room was opened. Hello everyone, my name is Irika Yumino, and I'll be your sensei for the next 5 years, the teacher now identified as Irika said before trailing off on all the things that they were to learn for the remaining of their stay in the academy. With a heavy sigh, Naruto looked through the classroom in boredom when he suddenly locked eyes with Sasuke. The two narrowed their eyes at each other and entered into a small staring contest before both boys looked the other way with angry grunts. Looking back at the window, Naruto thought annoyed, 5 years here, yeah, This fucking sucks. It was a cold night in the village hidden in the leaves. The village was quietly resting, unaware of the horror story that will occur on the next few days. A lone figure was currently standing in front of a large boulder at the foot of a hill, just on the outskirts of the village. The figure formed some hand signs that soon broke the barrier surrounding a door. The figure opened it, and it revealed a dark tunnel that led to an underground base where as soon as he walked into the first lit room, 2 masked figures appeared and kneeled before him. Lord Danzo. The 2 figures said in unison, "Let's go." Danzo replied dryly while not even looking at the 2. The trio began walking further into the room until they passed through another door that led them to a corridor that he walked through with the 2 masked men behind. As Danzo walked, the old-timer asked, "Is everything in order?" One of the masked men replied, "Yes, sir. The group you selected is ready to move as soon as you give the word. For men unit as you ordered, all of them with medical training." "Very well," Danzo replied while looking at the front. After receiving the dossiers of the squad mentioned and giving his approval, he continued his way towards the war room of the root base, and while walking, he asked, "I trust that Ryu and Terai are back?" "Yes, sir, they are already waiting for you in the war room," the root ninja replied. After a few more minutes of walking inside the maze of the base, they arrived at a large metal door, and after the old man opened it, looked at his 2 most trusted soldiers and personal guards dutifully waiting for him inside, Ryu and Terai. Turning back at the 2 other ninja that were escorting him, he ordered them to leave the room and took his place at a seat that looked like a throne in front of the war table, while the 2 root members took a kneeling position in front of their leader. "Report," Danzo said to his subordinates. "Everything has developed as you expected, sir. The Uchiha revolt is inevitable, with all the false threats done using the 2 elders Koharu and Hamura and the attacks done by our people infiltrated in the Leaf's regular forces. They have become paranoid and are soon to begin the first stage of their coup in approximately the next month," the root soldier with the codename of Ryu answered. She had long silver hair with 2 medium ponytails on the front, 2 more on the back, and a few hair strands that covered the top of her mask. She also had an exquisite figure, and was wearing a mask with the shape of a dragon's face. "Excellent," Danzo replied with an excited but barely noticeable smirk on his stern face. He then added, "What about Shisui Uchiha? Did you succeeded in our objective?" "Yes, sir," Terai replied this time. He was wearing a cream-colored hooded coat and a mask with 3 red curved lines above both eyes. He then took out from inside his coat a jar containing 2 eyes with an onyx pupil. "We extracted Shisui Uchiha's eyes as you requested and put evidence that pointed at Itachi Uchiha as the responsible for the attack," he said while giving the jar with Shisui's eyes to Danzo. Looking at the jar on his hand, Danzo said to his 2 most trusted men, "Excellent job. Now that we possess the Mangekyo Sharingan, we can begin to implant it in my blind eye," Danzo said. He then stood up from the throne and walked towards the exit of the room with the 2 root ninja following behind. Without looking back, he added, "Be ready to move with the special team that we've prepared. Sarutobi has called on an emergency meeting, so it appears that Itachi will make his move now. Your job is to make sure that he follows through with his plan. As soon as he's done, we make our move." "Understood." The 2 soldiers replied robotically to the root head. "Is everyone ready to begin?" Hiruzen Sarutobi, the 3rd Hokage, asked those present in the room. "Yes." Danzo, Koharu and Hamura answered in unison to the village's leader. "Very well, Itachi, please begin your report," the 3rd said to the Uchiha Anbu captain who was standing beside him. "Yes, sir," Itachi replied. Walking to the center of the room, he began. "The situation has reached a boiling point. Since Lord Hokage's talks with my father proved futile, now every Uchiha is preparing to stage the coup in the next month. As far as I know, my father will begin to look for allies in the coming weeks. The Aburame, Inuzuka and the Kurama clans are the prime candidates. They believe that they can convince them to join the coup with the promise of more power and say on the village's matters. I don't think that other clans will join them," Koharu said. "Indeed, the Inuzuka are loyal to the village and would never go with this. The Aburame are reserved, but their relation with the Uchiha clan is formal at best, so they won't risk so much for a clan they barely have contact with, and the Kurama are too weak to pose any real threat even if they were to participate, which I doubt they will," the 3rd explained, feeling confident of the loyalty that most of the clans have towards the village. "Indeed, I think that my father and the rest of the council know this as well. That's why in the last 2 years since this started they have been making sure to turn every Uchiha to their beliefs. I'm probably one of the last few who fights for the village first," Itachi replied, with a distant tone in his voice. "Then we have no other choice. We must act now, Lord Hokage, before the rest of the village gets dragged into their foolish crusade." Danzo replied with an urgency that did not go unnoticed by the other experienced shinobi in the room. "Just what the hell are you up to, Danzo?" the 3rd thought, knowing very well that his old rival was scheming something. Closing his eyes and massaging his temples, Sarutobi said with a pained voice, "Yes, I'm afraid that we must take action, Sai Itachi. Are you really willing to go through with your plan?" Itachi closed his eyes for a moment, and after a few seconds, he opened them and with a stern voice that carried no doubt but with pain clear in his eyes, he responded, "Yes, Lord Hokage. I see no other way. My clan's ambition will end up hurting the village more than help it. I will carry out the extermination of the clan myself. Forgive me, Hashirama-sensei, the Hokage thought with sorrow at the idea of giving the green light to the massacre of one of the founding clans of the village he swore to protect. We will be forever in your debt, Itachi. You truly are the greatest example of the will of fire side. Do we all agree? The third asked to the elders. Yes. Hamura said. Yes. Danzo said while hiding a devious smirk. No, but it doesn't matter anymore. The only thing I can ask you, Itachi, is that you do it as painless as you can. Koharu said with a defeated voice. Yes, Elder Koharu, they are my family after all, Itachi said with an expressionless face that hid the pain in his heart very well. He then continued, the only thing I ask of you is that Sasuke lives. I know that he can bring honor to the Uchiha again, and with the right people around him, he will bleed for this village as much as I did. Yes, Itachi, we will protect Sasuke and honor your sacrifice to the very end, the Hokage said with a sad smile to the Uchiha before continuing. Then it's settled. Take this days to take care of anything that you may have unfinished. You will act in 1 week from now. He looked at the elders and called the meeting to an end, with the elders leaving after a thank you to the Uchiha, leaving Itachi alone with the Hokage. Hiruzen? Itachi said, using his name as the signal that he wanted to ask something as a regular man rather than a ninja under his command. The third understood and nodded at him to proceed, so Itachi said, Naruto-sai, knowing him, he will come demanding for answers. He's smart, so it won't be easy to fool him with the explanation of me just doing it to test my power. He cares deeply for my mother as well, so he will dig into this as much as he can to find the truth. So please, find some way to stall him until we meet again. I will try to delay as much as I can the movements of the Akatsuki. But we'll eventually meet, and when we do, I'll tell him the truth. His eyes were starting to show the pain he was feeling for doing this, but he quickly pushed those feelings aside, knowing that it was worth it. Are you truly willing to bear the hatred of both of your little brothers for that long? Hiruzen asked Itachi in a sympathetic way. This was what pained the old Hokage the most, the hatred that will no doubt grow in both Naruto and Sasuke. It's something that disturbs him greatly. Looking to Itachi, who was looking down at the ground, the third widened his eyes and felt his heart breaking for the first time in years at seeing a lone tear fall from the ever-expressionless Uchiha's face to the ground. Looking up directly at the old-timer's eyes, the raven-haired teenager said with conviction and utmost love, if it means that both will be safe and will be able to make their dreams come to be, then yes. After all, they are my dream, and I know that if they both build a bond, it will take them further than anyone else has ever got. Itachi then got serious again and added to the Hokage, also, be wary of Danzo. The death of Shisui was not my doing, but whoever did it left a good trail back to me, and I can only think of Root to do something like that. He's always been interested in the Sharingan. Turning towards the door, Itachi prepared to leave but stopped when he heard his leader say, I may not be able to ever say this in public or to reveal the truth of the massacre, but know this, Itachi. The Uchiha turned his head to look at the Hokage when he said, you are the greatest shinobi this village has ever given, don't ever forget that. The third exclaimed while bowing to the Uchiha teenager, showing him how grateful he was at Itachi for such immense sacrifice. Giving him a nod in thanks, Itachi left the room soon after, leaving a third Hokage to look at the sleeping village while thinking somberly, what a sad day. Alright, that's enough, now let's see, Iruka said to Sasuke and Naruto, who were currently in the middle of a taijutsu spar. Looking at the board on his hands, Yumino claimed while looking at Sasuke, well Sasuke, in your ninjutsu you scored a 10, in accuracy with kunai and shuriken, you scored a 9, and in taijutsu you scored a 7, good job Sasuke. HN. Sasuke only grunted in response among the cheers of his fangirls who were eagerly proclaiming him to be the best. He was paying them no mind, however, since his mind was thinking with annoyance, damn it. We've been 2 years in the academy, and the dobe's been holding back on everything. You're not fooling me, Naruto. Looking at Naruto then, Iruka revealed his scores. Now Naruto, well, in ninjutsu you scored a 7, in accuracy with kunai and shuriken you marked another 7, and taijutsu an 8, not bad, but you can do better, so keep training. He said with a little bit of disappointment in his voice. Yes, Iruka-sensei. Naruto replied among the cheers of his fans, encouraging him to do better while thinking, grr, I hate this, damn it. Having to act like a regular Joe. Hold it, Naruto, just 3 years more thou. I think the team knows that I'm holding back. Alright class, you are dismissed for the day. Remember to train your taijutsu skills since we'll keep sparring for the rest of the week, Iruka said to the already fleeting kids who didn't even listen to him. Sigh, kids, he mumbled tiredly. Man, this seriously sucks. And I can't even use the shadow clones cause the old man won't let me. You need to be there to spend some time with people of your age, Naruto said to himself with a mock voice of the third Hokage. Indeed, it's been 2 years since our favorite rap-loving knucklehead entered the academy, and it's been boring. The fact that he cannot show them what he can really do and must hold back on everything to not catch everyone's attention just makes it worse. He used shadow clones once, but the third forbade him to use them so he could spend time with kids like him, since the only people he ever interacted with were grown-ups. Man, I'm sure that only Sasuke would give me a run for my win. Everyone else mostly suck, he muttered angrily. His rant was interrupted, however, when a low roar coming from his stomach broke him out of his thoughts. What you said? He asked his stomach that strangely roared back as if answering, Ichiraku's huh? Well, if you insist, he replied happily, not paying any mind to the freaked-out looks from the villagers around thinking he was talking to the 12 wings. He kept walking until he found a small stall that he approached and proceeded to move the curtains that stopped the dust from entering. He then sat on one of the bar stools and screamed, "Hey old man! Your favorite bottomless pit just arrived, fool!" Soon after his greeting, a sound of stuff falling to the ground followed by some curses was heard before a middle-aged man popped his head out and said, "Wah! Oh, Naruto my boy, how are you? How was school today, huh?" Jinchuuriki replied with a wide smile aimed at his favorite customer. "I'm good thanks." "And school was boring as usual," Naruto replied with a huff and a pout before continuing, "Anyways, I'm hungry." "You know what to do, old man," he enthusiastically exclaimed. "Haha, alright, let me go and make you your food. I am. Come, Naruto is here. You've been waiting for him all day, so come and keep him company while I make his food." Tucci screamed and then chuckled when he heard a squeal followed by a curse and the sound of someone running on the back. A 14-year-old brunette girl with brown eyes appeared from the back of the stall screaming at the veteran chef, "Dad! Shut up!" While what if she suddenly noticed that Naruto was there, watching the scene with amusement, seemingly enjoying the girl's distress. "Oh. Now Naruto. Hi. Sorry about him, you know that how was school today?" she nervously said, trying to change the subject while putting both arms behind her back, fidgeting her fingers and wearing a mad blush on her cute face. "Haha, she's so damn cute when she gets all flustered. Though can't deny she's growing up," Naruto thought while looking at the two mounts that were starting to show beneath her upper clothes. "Shit, stop looking, ya fool. Damn hormones," he reprimanded himself then. Shaking his head from such lecherous thoughts, he replied while scratching below his nose, "Ahaha, yeah well it was boring, you know. I really can't wait for the end of the damn academy so I can go on missions and kick some ass like my big brother Itachi," he said while jumping on his stool, flexing his muscles while doing poses that just made the poor girl more lost in her blooming teenage hormones. Was he checking me out there? She gave a hopeful thought when she saw where his eyes were looking at a moment ago. Lifting her arm and putting her finger on her lips, she responded, "Oh. Well, yes that sounds good but it's also very dangerous you know," she said with worry in her voice. She wasn't very comfortable with her crush becoming a ninja. "You don't have to worry about me, he exclaimed, giving her a thumbs up and a wide smile before adding, "I'll be the strongest ninja that has ever lived so I can protect you and all of my precious people from anything that dares to harm you. Y'all see." Naruto's voice was full of confidence and a fire in his eyes that showed his unrelenting determination. "Yes. He cares about me," thought while mentally jumping with happiness after hearing her crush's words. Soon enough though, his first bowl was done and she brought it to him. "Haha well thank you for caring about us Naru. I know that you'll become strong. Here's your bowl," she said with a happy smile on her face and a small blush on her cheeks. "Haha can't believe me, a 10-year-old can make a pretty 14-year-old blush like that," Naruto thought with amusement. Giving her a warm smile back, he grabbed his bowl and said, "Of course I care, Aya. You can always count on me." "Thanks." He then began to happily devour bowl after bowl of the delicious food fit for any god. Naruto so young and already a master at wooing a lady, you certainly have grown." A silver-haired male wearing a standard Jonin uniform, a mask that covers most of his face and a leaf headband that covers his left eye leaving only the right one visible said while taking the stool next to the blonde Jinchuuriki. Both and Naruto blushed at the comment, making excuse herself to the back of the bar to bring the Jonin's order along with the blonde's next bowl. Naruto just looked at his bowl while trying to hide his blush from the silver-haired Jonin before saying, Pa. I don't know what ya talking about." "Haha, sure thing little one, sure thing," Kakashi answered amusedly to his surrogate son. A year ago, Kakashi left the position of ANBU commander and took on the position of Jonin again, per request of the third Hokage, since it was the Hokage's wish that Kakashi would take on as sensei of Naruto and Sasuke's team once they graduate, as the third wanted to put the two of them in the same team and Kakashi was the best suited for the job as their sensei, which he reluctantly accepted. Not because he disliked the boys in any way, Kakashi was very fond of the blonde Jinchuuriki. While Itachi took on the job as his big brother, Kakashi took on a more father-like place in his life. After he left the ANBU Corps, he began to take more care of the boy. Eventually Naruto trusted him as much as Itachi, revealing everything that had happened in his life, including his talks and training with the 12 Wings and Itachi, that he knew who his parents were. Much to the surprise of the copy ninja and the sadness of the revelation about Naruto's bitterness towards his parents, which he could completely understand where the boy was coming from. But he still felt bad for his late sensei and wife since their decision to make their son a Jinchuuriki ultimately led said boy to not even consider them as relatives. And when it came to Sasuke, he certainly saw great potential in the boy. He knew that the only obstacle that Sasuke could have would be the Uchiha arrogance that led them to rely too much on their eyes. But take that away and you have a shinobi capable of great things. The reason for why he wasn't too convinced with this team was because it was meant to be the next generation of Team 7, a number that has been haunted by both greatness and tragedy. The first generation was led by none other than Tobirama Senju, the second Hokage, and had as members Hiruzen Sarutobi, Koharu Udatane, Hamura Mitokado, Danzo Shimura, Kagami Uchiha and Torfu Akimichi, the team produced a Hokage in Hiruzen Sarutobi but was struck by tragedy after a mission that cost the life of Kagami, who was one of the few that Danzo truly trusted. After Kagami's death, the team became hostile towards each other, and after the death of the second, got disbanded. The second generation of Team 7 came to be after the induction of a 3-genin squad led by a Jonin as a standard model. It had Hiruzen Sarutobi as squad leader and was comprised by Tsunade Senju, Jiraiya and Orochimaru. The three went on to reach levels above almost all but the Kage. They got dubbed as the three legendary Sannin by Hanzo of the Salamander during the Second Great War and became feared throughout the lands until Orochimaru was caught experimenting on civilians and betrayed the Leaf Village, becoming one of the most dangerous missing nin in shinobi history. The third incarnation of the team was led by Jiraiya of the Sannin and was comprised by Minato Namikaze, Fugaku Uchiha, and Aiko Kurama. The team produced yet another Hokage in Minato but was struck by tragedy again when Aiko was captured and brutally murdered by a cult. Fugaku had made an arrogant mistake that almost got everyone caught, but Aiko took a bullet for her team and paid the price. Her death caused hostility between Minato and Fugaku, and not even when the former became Hokage disappeared, it grew even more. The fourth and last generation of Team 7 was led by Minato Namikaze and it consisted of Kakashi Hatake, Rin Noura and Obito Uchiha. The team produced another legendary shinobi in Kakashi, but Obito perished in battle during the Third Great War and Rin was killed by Kakashi when she defected to Mist. Hoping that the tradition would break with the next incarnation, he finished his bowl and said to Naruto, "Now, I have a message from Itachi to you." He then gave a folded sheet of paper to the blonde and bid goodbye. Oh, okay, well, see you later, Pa." The Jinchuuriki replied to his father figure before he opened the sheet and read it. "Hey little brother, listen, I'm gonna have to cancel the next 5 days of your training with me. I have a mission so I won't be around, but I'll see you on Saturday. So use this days to rest and spend some time with your friends or my mother. Don't get all lazy on me, brother." "Oh man, this sucks." "Well, I'd better find something to do. Spending time with Miko does sounds good," Naruto thought with a mad blush before paying for his food and saying his goodbyes to a blushing teenage girl and her amused father. He then headed to his apartment while thinking, maybe a prank spree? Yeah, I haven't made as much pranks as before. Better make sure my handlers are not getting rusty. Mikoto Uchiha was a mess. She could feel the tension building inside her home and her clan, and she was getting worried by the second. It has been 2 years since her husband's plan on taking over the village had been set in motion, and despite the honest efforts from the third Hokage to quell the hostilities, the arrogance of her clansmen prevailed, and now they are to stage a coup in a month's time. She was devastated. Her eldest son Itachi just seems colder and colder as the days go by since he accepted the task of spying on the village's leadership, and her youngest son seems to be stressed about the clear indifference that Fugaku was giving him. Her relationship with her husband was now practically inexistent. She pleaded, hell, she even begged on her knees to stop all of this, if not for her, for the sake of their sons. But the only reply she got was, "This is for our sons Mikoto, for all the Uchiha," and then he just left and kept brewing the conflict between the village and her clan. Damn arrogant fools, she bitterly thought. And to make matters even worse, she was forbidden to leave the compound now. It's been almost a month since she had been able to leave, that asshole. Treating me like a stupid prisoner. She was pacing around her home just thinking on what to do. She wanted to speak to Itachi to try and understand just why he would go along with this mad plan, but he apparently left the village on a mission and would be gone for a few weeks. She was very worried about her eldest son, as just a few days ago, Shisui Uchiha, Itachi's best friend and her nephew, was found murdered and had also lost both of his eyes. This caused tremendous alarm inside the clan, especially in the council, since only they knew that Shisui had somehow unlocked the legendary Mangekyo. So believing in the apparent way on how to unlock them, Itachi was put as the prime suspect. It even came to the point where he no longer talked to his father aside from his report on the Hokage and his advisors. Heck, it had been weeks that even she had a normal conversation with him. Leaving her home, she began to take a stroll around the compound, and she was saddened by what she was seeing. There was just no joy around the clan anymore. The adults all seemed tense, and she could see that many were conflicted with the direction that the clan would be taking in the coming days. And the kids, instead of playing and running around, they were all being prepared to fight. It broke her heart to see the clan's future being manipulated this way, just to make a bunch of arrogant pricks feel good with themselves. She knew that a reign under an Uchiha with that kind of mentality would be oppressive, and it would take the village to a dark path. The kids of the future would be nothing but tools of war, and she hated that. She knew that as a shinobi you are exactly that, a tool to be used by your Kage. But at least with the current system you had the chance to choose. A reign under an arrogant Uchiha would, with no doubt, take that choice away. Returning to her home after her small stroll around the compound, she turned to see the wall with the Uchiha crest painted on. She could still see the crack that had formed for the kunai that Itachi embedded after his confrontation with Fugaku about Shisui's death. She couldn't help but feel a bad omen at seeing the haunting image of her clan's crest split by a crack that could very well signal the future of her clan and the village. Ah, fuck Fugaku. I'm taking a walk around the village tomorrow. Whether he likes it or not, Mikoto thought in frustration before she headed to her now personal room to turn in for the night. Naruto woke up with a weird feeling in his gut. He could feel that Itachi has been troubled by something for the last few weeks. The fact that it has been almost a month since he last saw Mikoto just made him feel even more uneasy at the thought that something might be happening to her or her clan. Stepping out of his shower, he dried his hair and had a quick glance at his reflection on his mirror. He was somewhat shocked though when he saw that his hair was losing its natural color. He hadn't noticed since he usually carries the genjutsu on his hair to hide its glow. But now he could see that his usual bright yellow hair was paler. Like the Yamanaka's, it still had the glow but it was paler as well. Pushing that thought to the back of his mind for now, he put the genjutsu on again and headed to his kitchen table where he grabbed a bowl and poured some cereal in to dig in. Oh yeah, he eats something more than ramen now. Since he began his training with Itachi and the 12 Wings, both made him eat more than just ramen so he could have all the proteins he needed in his body. He complained at first, but eventually gave in. After finishing his breakfast, he cleaned the dish and walked to his room to put on his normal attire. Stepping out of his apartment, he walked aimlessly around the village while thinking, what to do? What to do? I really don't want to go to the academy today, so he made some hand signs and created a shadow clone with enough chakra to last the whole day. Giving his clones orders, he began to head towards the forest of death when a sight of a beautiful black hair caught his attention. Getting closer to the owner, he screamed happily, "Miko, what?" The Uchiha matriarch turned around to see who was calling her name. She immediately recognized the boy, Naruto. She then surprised him when she forcibly took him inside a store and then created a shadow clone of her. Waiting until she could no longer see the clone and the escorts that were assigned to her, she looked at the confused boy and said, "Sorry about that, but my husband has some people guarding me and got tired of their presence." She gave him a kiss on the cheek before realizing that he wasn't supposed to be here. "Naruto, why are you not at school?" she said in a motherly tone. Holding the cheek that was kissed, he shook his head and scratched below his nose before replying, "Haha, I didn't want it to go today, so I made a shadow clone and sent it on my behalf so I could go and have my own training." He nervously laughed while rubbing his scruff. "Shadow clones? How does he knows that technique?" "Oh right, Kakashi trains him now." And then she thought before she replied, "Well, I hope you don't do this too often, mister." She scolded the Jinchuuriki, who just shook his head nervously in the negative. She then continued, "Well, I guess that leaves you with some free time, huh?" Getting a positive nod, she added, "Well then, come. Let's go and catch up." The two headed to a clearing behind the village's training grounds where they sat near the river after arriving and began to catch up with each other, Naruto asking with concern over the fact that he hadn't seen her for almost a month. She waved of the concern, saying that she was just busy with clan problems, which was partially true. While talking though, she realized just how much the little blonde meant to her, and it just pained her more to think that if the coup were to take place, he, as a Jinchuuriki, would be a big target for both sides to use as their trump card. Damn it. If that comes to be, I might have to choose whether to protect him or my sons. The thought of her having to leave the boy alone on his own devices in order to protect her sons just made her heart break more, if it was even possible. It made her arrive to the conclusion that she might need to take her distance on the boy so she could focus solely on protecting her sons. "I'm so damn pathetic and weak, damn it. I'm so sorry." And Naruto, stealing her resolve, she stood up after chatting for a while with the boy that she holds so dear, said, "Well, sweetie, I'm afraid I have to go back home now." So she looked directly at his gorgeous glowing blue eyes with that haunting golden slit that looked at her with such love that it made it nearly impossible for her to walk away, but managed to continue, "Nevertheless, sweetie, I want you to know that I care so much for you, not just for who your parents are, but for the amazing person that you have become. Even after everything that you've been through, you're still so warm and kind, so please, whatever you do, whatever life throws at you, don't ever change, sweetie. This cursed world that we live in needs people like you to guide us towards a better world, so don't stop. Keep striving to protect those you love, for that is the only way towards true strength. Whatever happens, know that I'll always care." She hugged him tightly and gave him a long kiss on his cheek. She quickly said her goodbye and began to walk away without waiting for an answer so he couldn't see that she was crying. When she was out of Naruto's reach, she muttered, "I love you, Naruto." Naruto was just standing there, frozen. Normally hearing that his crush held him so dear would make him scream in joy, but this time, however, he knew that those words carried a sense of finality in them. Why she sounded so sad, and why did it sound like a final goodbye? He slumped to the ground and just stared at the spot where she just head off and sadly thought, "Miko, damn it. Just what the hell is going on?" Naruto thought with frustration after his talk with Mikoto, who only left him more confused due to her words and her depressed demeanor. Sighing heavily, he mentally asked the dragon, "Hey Ryu, you can also feel that something weird is going on, right?" His sensor abilities are expanding while I see the mighty beast thought before answering, "Yes, hatchling, there is indeed a heavy tension growing around your village, and the conflicted emotions of both Itachi and that woman you like means it might have something to do with those damned Uchiha," it answered, with its ever-present anger towards the Uchiha. To this date, Naruto still doesn't know why it hates them so much. The only ones it seems to refer to in a calm way are Itachi and Mikoto, and whenever he asks why so much hate towards them, it only replies that the time for all his questions to be answered was close, irritating the blonde more. "I knew it," Naruto thought with exasperation, "but why none of them tells me anything? Maybe the old man knows what's up." He then headed towards the Hokage tower, intending to figure this mess out. Arriving in his usual style by jumping through the window, he was surprised to see that for once, the old man was not reading his usual small book, but he frowned after seeing that he too looked troubled by something. Thinking that it wouldn't hurt to ask, he made his presence known and said, "Hey old man. How's it going, huh?" Getting out of his stupor, the third Hokage looked to the sound to see his surrogate grandson leaning against the window frame. Giving him the best smile that he could muster at the moment, he replied, "Ah, Naruto my boy. Good son, everything is alright, how about you? How's the academy been for you? I've heard that you've made a good job with keeping a low profile." Giving the Hokage a huff, with a pout he replied, "Yeah, and it sucks. Having to act like if I could only do so much just makes being in a place learning stuff that I already know more unbearable. You know," he said heatedly, with a verbal tick that made the third remember a fierce red-headed female, "and you know what? I think that Sasuke actually knows that I'm holding back." He finished. Raising an eyebrow, the old-timer said, "I already told you Naruto, it's for your own good, you need to spend some time with kids your age and whatever you mean by Sasuke knowing?" Sitting on the couch inside the office, he looked at his leader and surrogate grandfather and responded, Yeah, I know that. You say it every time." Taking a deep breath to gather his words, he continued, "Well, at first, I could see that like almost everybody in my class, he saw me as just an average ninja that enjoyed pranks too much. But as time went on, I could see that he grew more interested in me after one day I beat some bullies that were picking on a Hyuga girl. I don't know if he saw me do it or if the girls spread the tale around. But immediately after that day, I could see that he became more wary of me. Well, I don't think it will matter if he finds out, as long as he is your friend and doesn't go around telling, then I don't see the problem," the third said while filling his pipe with tobacco. "Well, that's the problem, he ain't my homie, Homs," Naruto said, standing up and opening his arms while tilting his head to the side. Blinking in confusion, the third said, What? My friend, ya old-timer? He ain't that, yo. He's my rival at best," he said while doing complicated hand signs that not even the professor could understand. "Sigh, and here I hoped that you'd stop listening to that garbage you call music," Hiruzen said, sweat dropping at the blonde's antics. "Neva fool. The mighty is a poet. A visionary. I'm just waiting for his next album to drop so I can hear his amazing words that drive me forward with determination," the blonde Jinchuuriki preached while dropping to his knees crying anime tears. Seeing that the Hokage's demeanor has lightened up a little, he regained his seriousness again and tackled the reason for his visit when he asked timidly, "Old man, can I ask you something?" Feeling his change of attitude weird, the Hokage responded with a raised eyebrow, "Sure my boy, you know you can ask me anything." He gave the blonde a grandfatherly smile to reassure him. Right getting on his feet again, Naruto took a deep breath to gather his thoughts and said, Well, is he everything okay with the Uchiha clan?" Hiruzen started to feel his heart accelerating a bit after the question. "Damn it, I need to keep calm or he'll feel that something's wrong." Tilting his head to the side as if confused, the third said, What do you mean, son?" With a heavy sigh, Naruto responded, "Well, it's just that, I can see that big bro seems like more thoughtful than usual, you know? And Mikoto, well, I just talked with her, and she seemed so sad and like lost or something, plus the ambience around the village feels like heavy." Naruto responded with sad eyes looking down at the floor, all the while thinking about Mikoto, and what she had said to him just hours ago. Well, Itachi was right. He is very good at sensing people's emotions. I need to keep him occupied with something, trashing his brain around for ideas. Hiruzen suddenly came up with something and said, "Oh well, the Uchiha are a powerful and big clan, my boy, so problems are something that regularly occur. But about Itachi and Mikoto's behavior, I would guess that Itachi's troubled by Shisui's death just 3 days ago, and I guess that Mikoto is just worried for her son." "What? Shisui-sensei is dead?" Naruto screamed. Since Shisui was Itachi's best friend, Naruto obviously knew who he was. He used to pop up occasionally during his training with Itachi, and sometimes he was trained by Shisui whenever Itachi wasn't available, so hearing about his death hit him like a meteor. Sigh, yes Naruto, I guess Itachi couldn't tell you because he had to leave on a mission immediately. I'm sorry, I know that Shisui was a good friend to you as well, the third said with pain at seeing his adoptive grandson's hurt eyes at the news. I just hope he is able to endure what's coming. I know he'll move on, but the hatred that will grow for Itachi could lead him or Sasuke to a dark place, Hiruzen thought with regret. I see, Naruto responded with a small tear running down his cheek. Looking at the ground for a few seconds, he looked back at the Hokage and said, I guess that could be it. After a heavy sigh, the old Sarutobi said to Naruto, I know it hurts, Naruto, but the people that leave this world keep watching over us every day. The important thing is to never forget the things that made us, care for them and carry on with our lives to honor them. Seeing that his words helped to bring the blonde's mood up a bit, he requested, Hey Naruto, could you do me a favor? Squinting his eyes, confused as to what could the most powerful man in the land of fire ask of him, he replied, sure I guess. What is that you need, old man? Well, you see, my grandson, Konohamaru, has been pestering me for training. He's 6 years old and doesn't seem to understand that he still needs to wait 2 years to enter the academy. But I thought that since you began to train at the age of 5, you might be able to help him with the basic stuff so he can stop ticking me off all day about it. What do you say? The professor said with a smile. Putting his finger on his chin, Naruto gave it some thought and saw that it couldn't hurt, so agreed. Well, sure, why not? I'll teach the brat some stuff. Good, thank you son, who knows, maybe you can even find a future apprentice in him. Now here Sarutobi said with a smile while writing down something on a small paper, he lives with my son Asuma. Here's his address, stop by tomorrow after school and you can begin. Then, I'll better get going to prepare what I'll teach him. I have the week off after school since Big Bro is out on a mission, so I can teach him some stuff before he comes back. He kept the sheet in his pocket and headed towards the window, saying before jumping out, well, I see you around, old man, bye. With that, he took off towards his apartment, waving goodbye at the boy. Hiruzen sighed for the 1000th time in the week, and while blowing some of the smoke from his pipe, he thought, I'm going to have to ask Kakashi to be more pending with Naruto. If I can at least ease his pain a bit, I'll be able to honor, if just a little, Itachi and Mikoto's sacrifice. Forgive me, Naruto, bringing his tired gaze down to the floor. The old Sarutobi took some minutes to clear his head, and then returned to his paperwork. A plant-like figure was walking through a dark tunnel. The only thing that one could see was the Venus flytrap outline of his shadow. After a few minutes of walk, he arrived to a partially destroyed castle on the top of a hill. The castle was surrounded by mountains, and the heavy snow served to make it almost impossible for someone to stumble upon it unless you knew exactly how to get in. It was also protected by a magical barrier that stopped anyone and anything from teleporting inside. Walking through the giant wooden doors, he soon arrived to the main hall, a huge room with a lone throne at the top of some stairs that were at the opposite side of the room. Looking at the roof, one could see that the castle was the site of a major attack. Almost all the castle was destroyed. Only the main hall had partially survived. The wall behind the throne was almost gone, and one could see the mountains and the moon from the large hole in the wall. The light of the moon was lighting the hall from behind the throne, but the partially demolished wall casted a shadow that managed to cover the throne and the top half of the stairs from view. Arriving at the foot of the stairs, the plant-like figure looked at the top and could see a lone slender figure wearing an armor that made him look like a warrior king sitting with one leg crossed over the other. He was resting his head on his fist while resting the elbow on the armrest of the throne. At either side of the throne, there were two equally obscured figures. One appeared to be a tall man while the other seemed to be a short-haired woman. After a few seconds, the person sitting on the throne spoke with a playful voice. Oh, Kakukuzetsu, my boy. I trust that everything is going according to our evil plans. He moved his fingers excitedly. Yes, everything is moving as you planned. What it seemed to be like a black half of the figure said before the white half continued. Toby is already with Itachi. The massacre will soon take place. Ah. Good. Itachi might be a wildcard, but he is important to our plans. Make sure that he accepts the opportunity in Akatsuki, Kakuku the man ordered. Yes, but what if he betrays the Akatsuki? The black half asked. Giving a childish laugh, the mysterious man replied, well, I couldn't care less, dear boy. Toby is interested in him, and to stop that fool from doing something stupid, we need to throw a candy at him so he keeps in line. The Akatsuki are means to an end, and so is Toby. But in the meantime, they need to stay focused, and those stupid vengeances and wishes of grandeur will only waste more time. The strange man then chuckled and added, finally we have all the things we need. So we must begin our moves now. He finished with a serious tone that countered his previous attitude. Yes, we understand, we'll take our leave now. Setsu replied before turning to exit the castle. After disappearing from sight, the female asked, so, are we making our move now? Oh no my dear, not just yet. We'll let our little friends have their fun for a while. Once they've accomplished their goal, we move. Kakuku the man on the throne said, giving a playful laugh at the end while thinking, it's almost time, Granny. Almost. Stupid school, stupid kids, stupid teachers, Naruto mumbled while making his way to the Hokage's grandson's house. Seriously, I'ma lose my shit soon, son. Shaking his head from his frustration, he arrived at the Sarutobi compound and began to search for the right house. 12, 13, 14, 15, There, 16, this gotta be the place. Knocking on the door, he gave a quick glance around the compound and thought, I thought the place would be bigger, even having a Sarutobi as Hokage. The clan doesn't seem that powerful outside the old man. His thoughts were then cut short after the sound of the door opening was heard. A bronze-skinned man with black spiky hair and beard opened the door and said, oh Naruto, I take it you're here for Konohamaru, right? Getting a nod in response, he added, alright, let me get him for you. He turned around and left for the back of the house. After a couple of minutes, Asuma reappeared along with a small boy wearing a yellow shirt with a leaf symbol on the front. He had a long blue scarf and a skullcap that only left a mesh of his brown hair out. He was whining that he needed no one to get strong. Sai, just give it a try, okay Kono? Naruto is strong, so you'll learn a lot from him, and when you enter the academy you'll have no problem. Asuma said before pushing Konohamaru out of the house. Naruto then grabbed the boy's shoulder and flickered out of the compound before he could whine more, leaving a stunned Asuma behind to think, what the? I know that Kakashi trains the boy occasionally, but he already knows the body flicker? That's impressive. Arriving at the middle of the forest of death, Naruto appeared on a puff of smoke while grabbing a stunned Konohamaru. But since he didn't want it to acknowledge anybody, much less this blonde, he freed himself from his grip and said, huff, if you think that you've impressed me with that simple trick, you are wrong. I already told Uncle Asuma. I don't need anybody's help. I'll defeat the old man by myself, and I'll take the Hokage position so that everybody respects me. Geez, is like looking at myself when I was younger, the blonde Uzumaki thought with a drop of sweat on the back of his head. He then crossed his arms and said with an incredulous look, "Oh, really now? Think you can take the geezer down on your own, huh?" Pointing at Naruto, Konohamaru said, "For sure. The old man stands no chance against me." Taking a few steps away from Konohamaru, Naruto took a fighting stance and said, "Well then, if you are so sure, then come at me. Let's see if you can bite as hard as you bark, little boy." He was trying to make the boy lose his temper while doing a come here hand gesture. The taunt definitely worked since the boy got red out of rage and screamed, "I'm not a little boy. I'll show you." Konohamaru ran straight at Naruto trying to land a punch, at which Naruto just sidestepped without any problems. Taking the opportunity, Naruto quickly crouched behind Konohamaru and said, "Let me show you the most horrible forbidden jutsu of our village." He closed his hands together with only the index and middle fingers pointed directly at Konohamaru's ass and said, "Hidden Leaf's secret finger jutsu. 1,000 years of death." Using chakra to enhance the strength of the attack, he shot his fingers forward and successfully inserted the technique into Konohamaru's bottom, making him scream in pain, thinking that nothing could be more painful than what had just happened to him. Crashing a few meters away from Naruto, Konohamaru quickly began to rub his butt and with some tears in his eyes screamed, "Hey! That hurt. What the hell was that?" "That was me teaching you that you are not strong enough to beat the old man as you say," Naruto said while walking towards him. That's not true. It was just a fluke," the small boy heatedly responded, still rubbing his sore butt. With a heavy sigh, Naruto crouched in front of the Sarutobi boy and said, "Konohamaru, why do you want to be Hokage?" Feeling a little confused by the sudden question, Konohamaru quickly jumped to his feet and said while pointing at Naruto, "Easy. So everyone will acknowledge me as Konohamaru and not as the honorable grandson." Massaging his temples, Naruto retorted, "Do you even know what a Hokage does?" "Of course. They are the strongest of the whole village and fight only the best," Konohamaru said eagerly. "Konohamaru, do you have people you love?" Naruto said. "What? Ah, well, yes. I'm the old man and Uncle Asuma," the boy responded. "And do you want to protect them?" Naruto asked quickly after the boy's response. "Obviously," Konohamaru said, not seeing where this was going. "Well then, that'll make it easier for you to get this into that thick skull of yours," Naruto said, laughing after seeing the taunt working and making the boy angry while thinking, "Haha, yup, just like me." He got closer to Konohamaru and put his hand on the boy's shoulder saying, "Kono, a Hokage is someone that protects the village with every drop of sweat he or she's got. To be Hokage you don't only have to be the strongest around, you have to be compassionate, wise, just, you must always see for the good of every person in the village, you must love the leaf with everything you've got. Kono, your reasons to be Hokage are completely selfish, you want to do it for yourself, not for the common good. Being Hokage is being the most selfless person in the village, for you will always have to put the common good before your own desires sometimes, even your own family," he said with bitterness at the last part of his speech. Looking at Naruto with awe and a few tears in his eyes, Konohamaru whispered, "Oh, how would you know all that?" Patting the boy's head, Naruto replied with a chuckle, "Because I was just like you." Earning a surprised look from the boy. Continuing, he added, "Yeah, haha, I had the same dream for the exact same reason, until my big brother told the same thing I just did and I finally understood what being Hokage truly meant." Taking some steps away from the odd boy, he gave Konohamaru a confident smirk and asked, "So what do you say, Kono? Are you willing to work your ass off so you can become a true Hokage? There are no shortcuts for that. You'll sweat, cry and bleed to get there. But if you truly want that, then I have no doubt that one day, you'll take the hat from me." Wiping what was left of his tears, Konohamaru gave Naruto a wide smile and said with confidence and fire in his eyes, "You got it, boss. I promise that I will work harder than anyone. I won't let you down, boss." "That's the attitude," Naruto said with a smile after seeing his now new apprentice so focused on his dream. For the next 3 days, that was Naruto's routine. He would go to the academy in the morning, then he'll head to Ichiraku's for a quick bowl or a dozen, and then he would meet Konohamaru outside the Forest of Death to train him. The little Sarutobi had certainly grown on the Jinchuuriki. Since their little talk the day they met, the boy has had a major change in attitude. He even stopped his assassination attempts on the third, much to the surprise and delight of the same. Naruto could see that if the boy kept this going, he would be the one that could become his protege. However, today, he was excited. Today was Saturday and his big brother was to be back on the village. He took a shower, had a bowl of cereal and headed to the training ground that Itachi uses. As soon as he arrived, he suddenly felt his sense of danger go nuts, so turning around, he saw a barrage of kunai heading straight at him. Seeing that he has no time to escape and nothing to substitute himself with, he made a small jump and after some hand signs, he screamed, "Wind style, great breakthrough." Aiming his mouth towards the ground, he blew a strong stream of wind, successfully propelling him out of harm's way. However, he didn't have any moment to catch his breath since as soon as his feet touched the ground, a large ball of fire was shot at him. Getting over his seconds of panic, he formed more hand sings and said, "Earth style, mud wall." He slammed his hands on the ground and a giant wall made of mud rose from the soil, successfully stopping the fire attack. After the smoke from the fire died down, Naruto looked around trying to find his attacker when suddenly, the sky began to tint red and the ground started to shake, and looking up, His eyes almost popped out of his sockets after seeing a big-ass meteorite coming from the sky at a fast pace. Quickly regaining his wits, he thought, the fuck, what the hell is this? A genjutsu? Yeah. That's it. He then stopped the flow of his chakra and said release, releasing him from the genjutsu just in time to see that his attacker has decided to take the fight to the physical stage. He immediately ducked a kunai that passed by him just millimeters above his head and quickly grabbed one from his pouch. Taking a few steps away from the attacker, Naruto threw some shuriken at his attacker and screamed, Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu. As those words left his mouth, the 5 shuriken he threw turned into 20, which forced the attacker to take a defensive stance to avoid being pierced by the sharp objects. Taking advantage of this, Naruto made some hand signs with incredible speed for a kid and said, Fire style, fire crow. A medium-sized crow made of fire made its way towards the attacker, but unfortunately for Naruto, the attacker was even faster than him. Finishing his hand signs, the attacker said, Fire style, fire crow. A slightly larger crow of fire appeared from his mouth and made its way towards the other fire crow, exploding the moment the two made contact. After the smoke cleared from the field, the attacker said, Very well, little brother, it's good to see that you didn't get sloppy while I was gone, Itachi said before being stunned by the sudden bone-crushing hug that the blonde suddenly gave him. Patting his head, Itachi said with a chuckle, Now, I've missed you too, little brother. Not releasing the hug, Naruto said while having his head buried on Itachi's stomach, Big bro, I heard about Shisui-sensei. With a sigh, Itachi gently released the hug and got to eye level with the Jinchuuriki. Resting his arm on the blonde's shoulder, he said, Yes, I'm sorry I couldn't tell you myself. I had to leave on an urgent mission, but he died a week ago. I understand, the boy said while looking down at the ground before he brought his gaze back at Itachi and continued, But how are you? He timidly asked. With a strange smile that the Uchiha only showed to his little brothers, he said, Sigh, well, it was hard, but I'm okay. I know that Shisui wouldn't want me to lose myself over his death. He would want me to move forward. Itachi then stood up and hitting the blonde's forehead with 2 fingers, he added, You actually remind me of him, you know? Massaging his forehead, he said with a surprised tone, Really? Why? Placing his hand on his chin, the Uchiha teenager responded, Well, he was just like you, he loved pranks, he was smart, and always took on everything head-on, and like you, he was fiercely loyal to his precious people and would stop at nothing to protect them, Itachi said fondly while thinking about his late best friend. Looking at the blonde again, he continued, But even if he's gone now, it is our job to keep on living and to carry on with our dreams, just like he did until the very end. With his eyes glued to the ground, Naruto thought over what Itachi said, and after some moments, he looked back at his elder brother figure and said, He had a dream? Ah yes, an amazing one, little brother. Looking at the sky, the Uchiha continued, You see, Shisui met a beautiful girl a couple of years ago on a mission that he did along with me. We were supposed to assassinate a corrupt judge in the land of claws, but apparently, Rock had the same idea, so they sent a kunoichi to do the job. After a friendly fight, we decided to ally and work together to bring the judge and his mob down, but along the way, those two really hit it off, and I guess that they sort of fell for each other. Itachi sighed and added, The problem was that the Leaf and Rock have the worst relationship out of the other villages due to the Fourth decimating a good portion of their army single-handedly, in the midst of the Third Great War. So being together was not an option. Looking back at the boy to see that he had his complete attention, he regained his breath and carried on with the story. So after we said our goodbyes, he told me something on our way back home that I will never forget. Flashback. Itachi and Shisui Uchiha were hopping over tree branches after having successfully finished their mission in the Land of Claws. Immediately after saying goodbye to the Rock kunoichi, they began their trek back to the Leaf. You know, Itachi, Shisui said after the long silence. What? His stoic best friend replied. I just lost the opportunity to be with an amazing woman, and all because of this damn cycle of hate that just does not seem to stop. All around our continent, and probably the whole world, countless of people are suffering for grudges that are older than even our own homes. Shisui explained with a small amount of anger in his voice. Not really knowing what to say to his saddened best friend, Itachi looked back at the front and replied, Yes, we do live in a cursed world. I'm gonna change that, Shisui said with determination. Surprised by his words, Itachi looked back at his best friend with a raised eyebrow and asked, How? Looking back to where they came from, Shisui took a deep breath and looked directly at Itachi's eyes when he replied, I don't know, but if there is such a thing as peace, and I mean a true peace, one where we can live together as humans, not as soldiers fighting for different flags, a peace where a Leaf boy can freely fall in love with a Rock girl and start a future together. If such a thing exists, turning his head forward, he said with a confident voice that held no doubts on his determination, I will find it, no matter what. With a small smirk on his face, Itachi looked forward as well and asked his friend, what was her name anyway? With a small smile on his face, Shisui replied, Kuratsuchi. And flashback. He had the dream that one day we would find a way to unite the people, so that nobody would ever be afraid to befriend someone from another village. But now, it's up to us, little brother. Itachi finished his story and looked back at Naruto, who had his face down in thought. Kuratsuchi, Naruto thought, finding it sad that maybe she'll never know what happened to Shisui. Gaining a new resolve, Naruto looked back at Itachi and with a sad smile but a fire burning like Itachi has never seen before in his eyes he said, I promise big bro. I will carry on with Shisui-sensei's dream and I'll find a way to unite us all, and if I ever meet this Kuratsuchi girl, I'll tell her that Shisui never gave up. With an immense sense of pride flowing through Itachi at seeing his little brother carrying his best friend's dream forward, he looked at the sky and thought it is indeed worth it. Naruto and Sasuke are my dream. I have no doubts now that any sacrifice that comes is worth it. For these two he then looked down at Naruto and said, if somebody can carry on with that dream, it's you Naruto. I believe in you little brother. With a wide smile, Naruto got back on his feet and asked what was bothering him for the whole week. Itachi getting a hum from the Uchiha, he continued, is his Mikoto okay? I mean, I saw her earlier this week but she looked so sad and said things that sounded like I don't know Weird Al like a final G goodbye or something. At first I thought that she was just worried for you but before that day, I hadn't seen her in almost a month and she just looked so down Naruto said with worry evident in his voice. Patting the blonde's head, Itachi waved off his concerns saying, don't worry little brother, since she's the matriarch of my clan, she's just been stressed by some things that have been going on inside the clan. But mother's just tired that's all, she'll be back to normal soon. You'll see. Seeing that his words alleviated the concern in the boy a little, he continued, now, after that spar that we just had, I am really proud to say that I have nothing left to teach you Naruto. You've grown into an amazing shinobi with a promising future. What you do from here on out, it's up to you, little brother. What? But I don't know if that's true. I wouldn't know what to do, Naruto said with great sadness as if thinking that he would be losing Itachi. Now don't get so down bro, this is a point that every shinobi reaches one day. When they do, it's up to them to choose the path they will take and today is your day. I will always be there to guide you, he said with an incredible hidden sadness knowing that it was a lie. But it must be you the one that moves forward your own ambitions. Itachi finished with a proud smile. Giving his brother an honest smile back, Naruto replied, I understand now. I will work harder than anyone and I will grow strong so I can protect my precious people. And so I can make Shisui's dream, my dream, a reality. His determination and conviction were back strong after hearing those words, relieving his elder brother. That's my brother, Itachi said proudly to the blonde. They spent the rest of the day talking and fooling around until eventually they had to take their separate ways. After a few minutes of saying goodbye to the blonde, Itachi thought, your path begins tomorrow, little brother. Whatever life throws at you, including what I'm about to do, I know that you'll endure. The next day, Naruto woke up feeling uneasy. He had a nagging feeling that something wasn't right. He could feel it everywhere. As he walked through the village, he could see that every shinobi was feeling uneasy as well. Something big was about to happen and he knew it. What is this feeling? Naruto thought while walking down the road that leads to Ichiraku's. Arriving at the ramen bar, he sat on his usual stool and said, hey. Somebody here. Soon enough, Tuchi Ichiraku appeared from the back of the bar and said with a smile, Naruto, is good to see you my boy the usual? Receiving an affirmative nod from the blonde, he began to make his food when he heard Naruto saying, hey old man? Do you feel that something's weird? Naruto asked while scratching his cheek. Looking thoughtful at first, the ramen cook kicked his rusty ninja skills on again and could feel that the blonde was right. There was indeed something heavy on the air, now that you mention it. Yes, the air around the village seems heavier, the veteran chef replied, putting the bowl of ramen in front of Naruto. With a frown, Naruto took the bowl and said between slurps, I knew it. Just what the hell is going on? Taking a thoughtful stance, the old chef replied, I don't know my boy, but be careful, just in case. Yeah, I will. He finished his bowl and with a goodbye to the Ichiraku, he left the stand to look around and see if something was amiss. He couldn't find anything though. The third was not in his office today since usually on Sundays he would always do his work at home. He even searched for the girls he knew. Hana was out on a mission so he couldn't ask her anything. But both Anko and Yugao said the same, that they too feel that something was wrong. Yugao was the best sensor in the ANBU Corps and she said that she could feel that all the shinobi around the village too felt anxious. But apparently, no one knew what was causing it and the Hokage hadn't given any alert or orders to be wary. So everything was just a big mystery. Naruto spent the rest of his day fooling around with Shikamaru and Choji until their parents came to pick them up. He stayed in the park for a couple of minutes just looking at the stars and then headed home. When he arrived at his apartment, he took a bowl and made a quick dinner and soon after a quick shower to refresh himself, headed straight to bed, feeling incredibly tired for running around the village trying to figure out what was going on. He dozed off so hard that he couldn't feel that someone was inside his apartment. The figure walked stealthily towards the boy and then lifted the blonde shirt. The figure then channeled some chakra into the seal on the boy's stomach and after a few seconds, the figure felt his conscience being pulled into the seal. Opening his eyes, he could see that he was pulled into a forest with giant trees. It was a large forest since it seemed to have no end wherever he looked at. But he could hear waves hitting the coastline and soon after, a deep divine voice. Uchiha, the voice could be heard coming from the same direction that the waves were coming from. Itachi then made his way towards the sound and soon found himself looking at a beautiful sea, and as he looked up, he could see that the clouds were gray, but they didn't make the view sad. In fact, it made the ambience of the coast feel fresh and cool. Looking around, he saw a majestic beast, A beautiful 100 meters tall red dragon with black lines around its body. The dragon had 12 equally beautiful wings and was resting its giant head on its front legs. The best seemed to be peacefully relaxing with the cool breeze of the shore when, without opening its eyes, the 12 wings said, "You called Uchiha? To be able to create such a beautiful place in your mind, you truly are amazing." Little brother Itachi thought before bowing to the dragon while saying, "Yes, thank you for accepting to speak with me, Lord Drake." Opening its giant eye in surprise, the mighty being said, "Well, you're certainly different from your clansman Itachi Uchiha. To be able to know my name, how did you know who I am, boy?" The now identified Drake asked the Uchiha teenager with genuine surprise. Raising his head to meet the dragon's gaze, Itachi replied, "Well, I've always found interesting the subject of the tailed beasts and where they come from. The knowledge is scarce and their beginnings are unknown. But when you appeared, nobody knew what you were, so people labeled you as the 10th tailed beast due to your 12 wings. But I could see that you weren't that, and I was not the only one. Some people, to this date, still debate whether you are a tailed beast or not." Regaining his breath, Itachi sat on the cool sand and continued, "But one day, I was sent on a mission at the border of the continent to recover some artifacts that a wealthy collector was interested in. Then, I happened to stumble upon a beautiful village like I've never seen before. It was clearly a village built by refugees from the Western continent, since it is common knowledge that that continent is plagued by wars even fiercer than ours. So it is possible to find refuges in the border of our continent. But this happened to be a well-hidden village since the moment I stepped in. The people noticed me. They were only wary though, since I was a foreigner. But then I thought that if nobody in my continent knows who you are, maybe these people knew." Looking at the dragon, he saw that the dragon was intently listening to his tale, so taking a deep breath to continue, he added, "So, I headed to a bookstore and asked the clerk if he knew anything about the 12 wings. At first he was confused, but when I described you, he immediately knew what I was talking about, and went to grab a book and gave it to me saying that everything about you was in that book." Really now? And what did it say?" Drake said, genuinely intrigued by the story. "The book is called The Gods That Watch Over Us, and it talks about the 3 dragon gods that balance the world. All 3 with the distinction that they all have 12 wings. The golden dragon Emperor Zekrom, who is the god of the underworld, the white dragon Emperor Arkham, who is the god of light, and the red dragon Emperor Drake, who is the god of darkness. Is it true?" Itachi asked the mighty beast. With a low chuckle, Drake said with a small smirk, "Yes, it is true. Striking to see that humans can be so perceptive." Closing its eyes, the dragon relaxed again to the sound of the waves and continued, "However, those are titles given to us by humans. My true title, the one given by my father to me, it's different. My true title is the absolute god of end. I balance everything that falls into that small word: death, darkness, hatred, fear, all those kind of things. I oversee that they exist so that my dear brothers can exist as well." Opening its eye again to look at Itachi, Drake inquired, "Now, why would you happen to be so interested in me, boy? I do hope that the book let you know that it is impossible to lie to me." The dragon asked with a hint of suspicion at the Uchiha's motives. "Naruto," Itachi replied. Seeing the scales above the dragon's eye lift a bit as if confused, he elaborated, "Sigh, my mother was a very good friend to both Naruto's parents, especially his mother Kushina. So after the news that both her and the 4th died, my mother immediately wanted to adopt Naruto so he wouldn't be alone, but the 3rd said that if she were to do that, it would raise too much suspicion about Naruto's true heritage. She still wanted to go through with the adoption until my father put a definite stop to that by forcing her with clan laws, promising that he would keep some of his men watching over Naruto." The dragon snorted at that, seeing that the boy was never watched over until he was 5. Itachi then complied, "Yes, he never kept his word. My father is very bitter when it comes to Minato, so he had no intention on looking out for him. Until the day that I met him in a park, he was alone and I had free time, so I spent some time with him playing. When I told my mother about it, she asked, no, she begged me to take care of him. I could see that she was desperate." Itachi then gave a small smile and said, "She didn't had to tell me that though. The boy quickly grew on me and he became my little brother, and because I love him, I wanted to know everything about you, including how to kill you if you ever were to hurt him." Itachi finished with a voice that said that he would do anything to protect the boy. Feeling impressed by the teenager's resolve and love towards its container, Drake replied, "I'm impressed, boy. Your resolve is quite admirable." The dragon emperor took a deep breath and added, "Now, I believe that due to your words, you are about to do something large. Maybe you are the reason there's a heavy feeling around the village." Looking down at the floor, Itachi sighed and responded, "Yes, my clan is staging a coup to take over and both Naruto and Sasuke are to be used in it, especially Naruto since he's a Jinchuuriki, so I will put a stop to it. I will not let anyone harm my brothers, not even my own clan." The dragon took some seconds to look into Itachi's eyes to see the meaning of his words, and after some time, it said, "I understand your words, boy. I believe you want this to be kept between us." Getting an affirmative nod from the Uchiha, it continued, "Very well. Because your sacrifice is noble and you are indeed a person worthy of my respect, I will keep this between us." After a bow and thanks from Itachi, Drake asked, "Now, is that what you wish to speak with me?" "No, Lord Drake." Getting on his knees, he bowed to the beast and said, "I came here to request 2 things of you." Seeing that the dragon thought over his words for some seconds, he got a nod to proceed and added, "Since I won't be able to be around Naruto for a while, perhaps never again if he ends up hating me, I won't be able to look out for him, so I wanted to know what your plans are for him. Very well, however, this stays between us, boy. Naruto will know in a few more years when he is ready, understood? Getting a nod in response, the Red Dragon Emperor told its plans for Naruto to Itachi. At the end of the explanation, Itachi was dumbfounded beyond belief. Never in his life was he expecting this. It took some good 15 minutes for Itachi to recover from the shock. Stammering, he said, "Is he really his transmigrant?" Seeing the dragon nodding in affirmative, he continued, "And the other thing is why all the girls around." Getting another nod in response, he took a deep breath while thinking, "Wow, Naruto, you do have a knack for extraordinary things." He then said, "Thank you for telling me this. I do feel proud and at ease of his future. Now, for the last thing, I wanted to ask you to please watch over him. The dream he has now adopted, it's a hard one, and along the way there is more darkness than light. All I ask is to please guide him and help him. He will need people that cares for him. He holds great power, and I have no doubt that he could either become the greatest beacon of hope this world has ever seen or the one that will bring our annihilation." Getting up from the sand, the dragon adjusted itself so that he could be face to face with Itachi, and surprising the Uchiha, the god bowed and said, "You are a worthy man, Itachi. I will grant you your request. I will watch over him and guide him through whatever path he chooses." Itachi bowed gratefully to the god and said his thanks. He felt another pull, and when he opened his eyes again, he was in his body looking at the still sleepy blonde. Caressing his forehead, he whispered, "Farewell, little brother." He then walked to the kitchen and left a small note on the table before heading out from the boy's apartment, taking a deep breath as he looked at the stars and made his way towards the Uchiha compound. However, Itachi did not count it with Naruto's loose bladder and that he usually wakes up in the middle of the night to take a piss. It has only been a few minutes since Itachi left, and Naruto woke up, drowsily heading to the bathroom, and after taking a piss, he felt his stomach grumble a bit. Yawn, maybe a quick snack," he mumbled as he walked to his kitchen and turned on the lights and grabbed a grain bar while he sat on a chair and ate it peacefully. After finishing it, he realized that there was a note on his table. "What? That wasn't here before I went to sleep," he mumbled to himself before taking the note and read it. "Dear little brother, I'm sorry for all the pain that I have caused you. I'm sorry for having to leave you and for what I did. Know that what I did had a purpose. You might never understand it, you might never forgive me, but whatever you do, whatever path you choose, I will always be proud of you." "What?" Naruto said, confused after seeing this note that was clearly from Itachi. First Miko and then this. He started to crack his brain trying to find out what the hell was going on. "Whatever you did. Maybe I was supposed to find this in the morning, but that means that shit." He quickly grabbed his jacket and jumped through the window heading to the Uchiha compound. "Damn it, Itachi, what the fuck are you going to do?" he muttered, dreading the answer. Running and jumping as fast as he could, he felt a chill running through his spine after the heavy smell of fresh blood assaulted his nose, and after a few seconds, he arrived at the Uchiha compound. "No," he whispered while looking at the gruesome sight of massacred people all around the compound. No. Getting out of his frozen state, he suddenly remembered his crush, Miko. He ran towards the larger house of the compound and walked into it, and once inside, he frantically began to search for her scent. He found it after a few seconds, and after following it, it led him towards a door that he immediately opened and was horrified by the scene he was witnessing. "Itachi! Why are you doing this?" Mikoto screamed desperately at her eldest son after he stabbed his sword through Fugaku's heart. "Because you were going to destroy my village, our village." Lord Third tried to negotiate, but as spoiled brats, we refused. We wanted so bad to hold the power that we forgot that the village comes first, Itachi said after extracting the sword from his father's body and looking at his mother. He added, "I had to stop you from using Naruto. My father had no problem with releasing the 12 wings to rampage around the village." Getting closer to his kneeling and crying mother, he rested the tip of his sword on her chest and said coldly, "I will not let any of my little brothers be used like that, and I will always protect this village, even from you." With a desperate look on Mikoto's eyes, not wanting to believe that this was real, she asked her son, "Why kill everyone? You could have just killed us, the council. You killed everyone, even the children." "Because the seed of revolt and arrogance are too deeply planted into the Uchiha's teachings. The only way to fix our clan's arrogance is to destroy the clan as a whole." He pulled his arm back a little and said as he lunged the sword, "I'm sorry, mother, rest now." He then shot his arm forward but felt a shuriken stabbing his wrist. The attack managed to move his hand a little, but it was not enough to avoid his mother's chest as the sword cut clean through her, and Itachi looked towards the door to see a blonde looking at him with confusion, horror and anger. "Naruto. Damn it," he thought after seeing his brother. Mikoto felt the cold metal pierce through her while thinking, "I am so pathetic, I have failed everyone." Itachi, Sasuke, Naruto. As she fell to the floor, she looked at the door and could see that the blonde was looking at her with a horrified face and a well of tears falling from his eyes. Gathering the last of her strength, she tried to formulate some words to the boy, "Naruto," but she never got to end her sentence as her strength left her and finally lost the light in her eyes. Naruto was completely frozen after witnessing the most important woman in his life being pierced through the heart by the sword of the most important person in his life, who was also her son. The only reason he threw the shuriken was due to his reflexes. Gathering strength to at least say some words, he whispered, "I Itachi WH, what the fuck are you doing? He looked at his older brother, who could see that his normally glowing blue eyes were replaced by a neon red pupil with a golden slit that made him feel as if he was being judged by the Red Dragon Emperor himself. Naruto grabbed his kunai and screamed before lunging straight at Itachi. Why? Foolish little brother. While Naruto was incredibly fast, Itachi was still 10 times better in every department than Naruto. He prepared to dodge the attack while thinking, I'm gonna have to push him a bit more. Easily sidestepping the attack, Itachi used the hilt of his sword and hit Naruto on his back, sending him straight to the floor. Feeling the pain running through his body from the hit, Naruto weakly got on his knees to see the lifeless body of the woman he loved so much. Looking back at Itachi, he said with hate filling his voice, why? He saw Itachi's eyes turning into a pattern he had never seen, and before he casted his Tsukuyami on him, he heard Itachi say for power, and then he found himself looking at Itachi, piercing Mikoto's chest over and over again before everything went dark. Grabbing the unconscious boy, Itachi quickly flickered directly inside the third's house before anyone could see that Naruto was there, startling the old man in the process. Itachi, did something go wrong? Hiruzen couldn't finish his sentence after he noticed the unconscious body of his surrogate grandson. He then asked with worry, what happened? Why is Naruto here? Putting the boy down on the couch, Itachi replied, something must have woken him up a few minutes ago, so I believe he found the note I left him and went to look for me at the compound. He arrived just before I killed my mother. Seeing the pain in the teenager's eyes at saying those words, the old Hokage realized that Itachi must have achieved in gaining the hatred from the blonde. Sarutobi then said, then, it's done, but I must return to confront Sasuke, the third heard him say before Itachi patted the blonde's head and saw Itachi's lips whispering something that broke the old man's heart. After that, Itachi jumped through the window without any word, and after a few minutes, Hiruzen heard the alarms going off, indicating that the job was done and the Uchiha clan had been massacred. The third looked at the boy's sleeping form and heard somebody knocking on his. Knowing it would be the NBU, he went to answer the door while thinking sadly, I'm so sorry, Itachi. It has been 2 weeks since the Uchiha massacre and the whole village was still on a shock state. Nobody was feeling safe, and the trust the villagers had for their own ninjas lowered since it was one of their own that decimated the village's most powerful clan in one night. Sasuke became even colder than ever, but he also got better in the academy. Naruto could see, though, that it was all just a mask. Even if he was arrogant, he was still a boy who just lost his parents by the hands of his own older brother. Naruto was no different. In those 2 weeks, he rarely spoke to anybody. Not even Kakashi could get more than a few words out of the blonde. The people that knew about Naruto's relation with Itachi, the third, Hana, Anko, Yugao, Ayam, Tuchi and Kakashi, were worried sick about the boy. Heck, even some went to check on the boy, and the only thing she received was an I'll be fine, don't worry about it. But everyone knew that the goofball knucklehead everyone loved might be gone forever, and that saddened them greatly. Naruto was currently staring at the window in his classroom, ignoring everything around. He just could not stop thinking about his talk with the third after waking up in his house on that fateful day. Flashback. Naruto woke up jumping and soaked in sweat. He frantically looked around, and he could see that he was no longer in the Uchiha compound. Looking around in more detail, he recognized the place as the third's house as he tried to crack his brain trying to figure out how he got there. He wanted to believe everything was just a nightmare, but he knew better. The sound of the door being opened broke him out of his thoughts. Ah, Naruto, my boy, I'm so relieved that you're alright, Hiruzen said to the boy while giving him a quick paternal hug. Naruto broke the hug abruptly and frantically said, old man, there's no time. Itachi, he's gone mad. You gotta stop him. He had tears gathering in his eyes as he remembered Mikoto's death. Seeing his surrogate grandson in this broken state was horrible for the old man. But he needed to be strong. Naruto could head to a dark path if there's no one there to guide him. The Hokage needed to make sure that no one, especially not Danzo, will take advantage of the boy's anger towards Itachi to manipulate him. Resting a hand on the Jinchuuriki shoulder, the third said with a grandfatherly voice, sigh, I am sorry, Naruto, but it's already over. Itachi is gone and only Sasuke survived the massacre. Naruto looked down at the ground and with tears streaming down his face, he weakly whispered, why would Itachi do this? Why, Sai, I don't know, my boy, I don't know, the old Sarutobi responded, feeling guilty that once again, he was lying to the blonde. Before he put me in that genjutsu that replayed Mimiko's death, controlling his breath to stop the tears from falling, Naruto continued after calming down a bit. I asked him why would he do this, and he said for power. He had such cold eyes when he said it. Naruto stood silent for a few seconds, just processing everything. After some time, he looked at the third, who could see that his beautiful glowing blue slitted eyes had lost their glow and became a darker shade of blue while the golden slit took on a more threatening tone. The boy then said, one day, old man, one day I will find him and I will get the truth, I promise, on Miko's memory. The third could do nothing but feel like a failure after hearing those words. The most loyal shinobi in the Leaf's history had to massacre his entire clan, a founder clan of this village, to protect the very same. And to make the young Uchiha's sacrifice even bigger, the teenager had to accept the hatred of the two people he loved the most. Then, like if that wasn't enough, the kindest boy the old man has ever met, the boy that despite all the hate that has received through the years never stopped protecting and helping those who needed it, had lost the glow in his eyes and seems to have become as cold as Itachi. He felt like a failure of a Hokage. End flashback. Naruto stopped his recollection after he spotted Sasuke sitting at his usual place next to him. Since the day of the massacre, they haven't spoken a word to each other. Granted, they rarely did, but they usually grunted at each other during the day, but now, not even that could be heard from them, and the whole class was feeling uneasy about it, to the point that not even their fangirls tried to get their attention, sensing the tension between the two. Instead of words, however, they did use their fists. Naruto has completely lost the care of hiding his skills. Though he didn't show his bigger cards, he hadn't let Sasuke win in anything that the two competed. It always ended on a tie. After hearing the bell that signaled the end of the class he completely ignored, Naruto got up from his seat and left the room without a word to his friends, followed by Sasuke, who did the same. After a few minutes of walking, Naruto found himself arriving at the small lake that Itachi used to take him whenever he felt down. He sat on the small pier and just stared at the sunset. Dobe. He suddenly heard. He knew who the owner of the voice was, but he was still surprised to see he was here. Team. Naruto replied without taking his eyes from the sunset. Sitting next to Naruto, Sasuke stared at the sunset as well and said without stutter, "You are Itachi's apprentice, aren't you?" Feeling surprised at the question and the calm tone in which the lone Uchiha spoke, he replied with the same calmness, "Yes, I am." "Do you know why he did it or where he is?" Sasuke inquired with tranquility. With a heavy sigh, Naruto looked down at his reflection on the water and replied, "No." A few minutes passed, and the two just sat there in silence. Feeling a little uneasy about the silence, Naruto questioned, "How did you know?" Looking at Naruto from the corner of his eye, Sasuke replied, "One day, 3 years ago, I saw you practicing taijutsu, but what took my attention was that it was like seeing Itachi. Your moves now may have changed, but since I also trained with him, I know that some of your movements are from him. That's how I knew that you are his apprentice." Sasuke then looked at his reflection on the water and continued, "But I also know that he was as much a brother to you as he was to me." He surprised the blonde enough to make him look directly at Sasuke's face as he added, "Don't be so surprised. My mother always cared for you, even if she barely spoke about you. I could see the love in her eyes whenever your name popped up, just like whenever she looked at me or Itachi. That piqued my interest in you, and then one day, I heard Shisui saying something about Itachi's other little brother. It confused me, but one day I saw him playing with you at the park." He took a deep breath and continued, "Your eyes said it all. The way you looked at him. It was the same way I looked at him." He then looked back at the sunset. Feeling surprised at the declaration, Naruto stared at the sunset as well, and getting his senses ready in case conflict arises, he said with a small chuckle, "You must hate me then, huh?" Sasuke just closed his eyes, and after some minutes, he opened them again and replied, "No." Seeing that his answer really surprised the boy this time, he elaborated, "Sai, right now, you are the only one that really understands my pain. Itachi might not have been your brother in blood, but I know whenever I look at you that his betrayal hurt you as much as me, and I think that I am the only one that understands your pain as well. Right now you didn't steal my brother and mother, since they never stopped caring the same for me. It is Itachi who I hate, not you." He finished with a calm voice. Looking at Sasuke for some moments, Naruto looked at the distance again and said with the same calm voice that Sasuke used, "We'll find him one day. Whatever his reasons were, we will find him, of that I'm sure." Looking at the same spot that Naruto was looking, Sasuke replied, "Yeah, we will." Both stayed there in silence for the rest of the day, not aware that they were being looked at through a crystal ball belonging to the third Hokage. The old man looked at the scene and with a small sad smile on his wrinkled face, murmured, "Sigh, at least, they'll have each other to get through this." Looking at the village through his windows, the third finished his thought, "You would have been very happy right now, Itachi. It has been 3 years since the Uchiha massacre took place, and a lot of things have changed. For one, the village seems to have been on edge out of the fear from a possible attack from one of the other mayor villages that might want to seize the confused state of the Leaf, but surprisingly, no one attacked, not even Rock. To many, this was a testament that even without the Leaf's most powerful clan, they were still the strongest village. But to others, it might mean that the other villages were just waiting for when the third would be at his weakest, since even in his old age, he still was the strongest. In terms of military strength, the Leaf did suffer a grave loss. Even if the eradication of the Uchiha was for the good of the village, the fact that it was still a huge blow to its military prowess was undeniable. So to compensate that, the Academy's teachings received an update, a big one. There was no more flower arrangement, or any other class that did not cover the necessity for a shinobi. Now, whoever wanted to specialize in those or any other areas, would have to assist to a specialization class that would be given to anyone with the rank of Chunin and above. The Academy was now stricter, and because of that, many fangirls and fanboys dropped out since it became too hard to continue unless you truly had the resolve to become a ninja. The training for the village's current shinobi was upped as well, and the results of these reforms have bear its fruits, since the Leaf was getting more missions than before due to the effectiveness of its shinobi. But what surprised almost everyone the most were Naruto and Sasuke. The two became best friends, brothers even. Since Itachi's betrayal and their talk at the lake, their rivalry grew to the point that it became friendship. Naruto was the only one that understood Sasuke's grunts, and Sasuke was the only one that understood Naruto's awful rap remarks, so they became sort of the translators of each other, much to the relief of those that interacted with them, since it was almost impossible to get what they were saying. Naruto now no longer held back at the academy. Yes, he didn't show everything, but now he was tied with Sasuke as the number one of the class. But Sasuke was catching up to him quickly. in and out the class. After the conversation at the lake, Sasuke actually asked for Naruto's help, and to shock the Jinchuuriki even more, he actually admitted that Naruto was stronger. So after thinking it over for a few days he agreed, and since then, they always trained together. Thanks to that, their teamwork was flawless, and that allowed them to develop that brotherhood that shocked everyone so much. What surprised more about the Uchiha though, was that he was no longer outright arrogant. He was still a prick, but he kept it to himself now. The raven-haired boy was still as cold as ever though, and the only one that got more than grunts out of the Uchiha was Naruto. Heck, people even saw him laugh a little once, and it was kind of disturbing. But what surprised the third more about Sasuke was that when it came to Naruto, the last Uchiha never used his Sharingan to copy the Jinchuuriki's moves, and to the old man, that spoke greatly about the respect they have towards each other. And to the relief of those that care deeply for the Uzumaki, he did got out of his funk after he became friends with Sasuke, and after a few months, he even started pulling pranks again, much to the delight of Anko and Hana, and to the dismay of the old Hokage due to all the paperwork his pranks caused. But he did become colder and more reserved though. When it came to power, he has gotten stronger, thanks to now being a 13-year-old. His body could now withstand harsher training from the Dragon God, and they were supposed to begin his training using the 12 Wings power after he got placed in a team. His genjutsu though, still sucked, but now thanks to the dragon and his training with Sasuke using his Tsutomu Sharingan, he was immune to all genjutsu below an S rank in the Sharingan, although he still did not know if it was enough to stop the Mangekyo. The third even agreed to spar against Sasuke and Naruto once. They lost, but they managed to last 10 minutes against an offensive Kage. But the greater change was physically. The glow he had on his hair and eyes dissipated. His eyes also became sharper. They were dark blue, and the golden slit looked more threatening. He was also a bit taller, and his figure was more athletic, making his female fandom to only kept growing. But since now he was a full teenager, he didn't mind it that much. But the most noticeable change was his hair. His trademark golden blonde hair was gone. Somehow, it turned dark silver, but it was a beautiful haunting silver unlike anything else. The ex-blonde was freaked out about this. Not even the dragon knew why it happened, so he decided to live with it and embrace his new looks. Now, our favorite silver-haired Jinchuuriki was looking at his brand new headband that signaled that he was finally an official Leaf Shinobi. He finished his exam with flying colors, although he had to change the normal clones for shadow clones since the normal clones were impossible for him to do. Thanks to that, he managed to beat Sasuke for the Rookie of the Year title, and to the surprise of everyone, and the dismay of Sasuke's fangirls, the Uchiha smirked at his rival when it was announced. Now the only thing left was to wait 1 week for the team placements. After eating a bowl of ramen with his best friend, the silver-haired Jinchuuriki headed home to rest, but was stopped by one of his academy senseis. "Hey Naruto," Mizuki said with a friendly voice, which Naruto knew was completely false. "Sigh, what does this fool want?" Mizuki was one of the many teachers that tried to halt Naruto's progress in the academy, but since Naruto was already a better shinobi than him since the moment he entered it, he saw through all the attempts the Chunin made, which made the instructor so mad that in the physical exam that required the students to spar one of their senseis, he fought with true intent to kill. But to his embarrassment, Naruto knocked him out of the fight in 2 minutes. Mizuki-sensei? What can I do for ya?" Naruto asked while hiding his annoyance. "Oh well, I came here to tell you about the special exam that is made to the roadie," Mizuki said while mentally smirking, seeing that it piqued the silver-haired teenager's interest. He then continued, "You see, if you manage to pass, you'll get an automatic nomination for the next Chunin exams.